Chapter 1389. Towards Long Fu's meaning, Longao already understood. Long Fu's meaning was very simple. It was to make him sacrifice his reincarnation avatar and successfully leave the Dragon Clan. Longao did not say anything as he quietly pondered by himself. Sacrifice his reincarnation avatar. Continue to stay in the Dragon Clan. How should he choose between the two paths? Longao was not sure if his reincarnation avatar could withstand the taboo power. No matter what, the taboo power was a power unique to experts at the peak of the martial Tao. Even the 10,000 beasts ancestor could not contend against it. If the reincarnation avatar was unable to withstand the taboo power, wouldn't he have to sacrifice his reincarnation avatar for nothing? Longao was extremely reluctant in his heart. How should he choose? Dusk gradually descended. At this moment, the Dragon Clan was very noisy, like boiling water, and the sound of searching for Longao could be heard everywhere. The Dragon Clan was very big, and it was not possible to find a single trace of a person in a short period of time. The Heavenly Divine Dragon and Long Tion were extremely depressed. Longao had provoked them time and time again, and if they were unable to kill Longao this time, the Dragon Clan and the Long family would be completely humiliated. Big brother, where is Longao hiding? The Heavenly Divine Dragon was very depressed. The Dragon Clan was his territory, and under normal circumstances, if Longao hid in the Dragon Clan, it was impossible for him not to find Longao. But in the end, after an entire 11 days, he still could not find any traces of Longao. If he did not personally experience it, the Heavenly Divine Dragon would definitely not be willing to believe it. Where was Longao hiding? Long Tion was 10,000 times angrier than anyone else. After all, Longao had killed his son, and the enmity of killing his son was irreconcilable. If not for the enmity of killing his son, Long Tion would not have used the Dragon Clan's taboo power. The taboo power was the greatest trump card of the Dragon Clan and the Long family. No matter where Longao is hiding, we must find him. Long Tion and the Heavenly Divine Dragon had been searching for Longao the entire time, but they never thought that the Longao would already appear at the exit of the Dragon Clan. At the exit of the Dragon Clan, Long Fu had thought about Longao's suggestion for a long time. Thinking back and forth, Longao finally decided to give Long Fu's suggestion a try. At this point, it would be very difficult for him to leave the Dragon Clan without using his reincarnation avatar. If there was enough time, Longao would definitely not choose this method. However, the problem now was that he only had less than 5 days left. If he could not leave the Dragon Clan by this time tomorrow, the Dragon Spring would be destroyed. In other words, he had entered the Dragon Clan for nothing. Not only could Longquan help Xiling successfully set up the Sword Realm, but it could also help everyone in the family increase their cultivation speed. The next moment, the reincarnation avatar suddenly appeared and flew towards the exit. Longao? Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, everyone was shocked. Their target this time was Longao. After searching bitterly for 11 days, Longao's sudden appearance really gave everyone a fright. As the saying goes, a person's reputation is like a tree's shadow. Longao's strength might not be much, but he dared to cause trouble in the Martial Artists Alliance and did not put the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family in his eyes. He was a complete madman. Under normal circumstances, Longao should be hiding when the Dragon Clan and the Long family joined forces to hunt down Longao. However, not only did Longao not hide, he even prepared to barge in. What kind of concept was this? Could it be that Longao had nothing to fear? The more Longao acted like this, the more unsure everyone was. As soon as the reincarnation avatar appeared, there were countless people surrounding it. Long Tion and the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon were not around. If Longao escaped at this time, how would they explain it to the 2 clan leaders? Of course, the reincarnation avatar was no match for 6 Nirvana Realm martial artists. Regarding this point, Longao was very clear in his heart. The reincarnation avatar only exchanged 3 moves with the crowd. It seemed like he was no match for them. He immediately turned around and shot towards the left. Chase after him. The target had already appeared. The 6 Nirvana realm martial artists led everyone and chased after the reincarnation avatar crazily. Under such circumstances, it was useless for them to continue guarding the exit. In the end, the 6 Nirvana realm martial artists still did not put Longao in their eyes. From the beginning, they thought that if the 6 of them joined forces, they would definitely be able to kill Longao. They never thought that Longao would return to the exit. Seeing the reincarnation avatar and the others gradually disappear into the distance, Longao was immediately overjoyed. As long as he did not use the forbidden power, Longao was completely confident that he could summon the reincarnation avatar in an instant. Not to mention the 6 of them. Even if Long Tion and the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon were here, they would not be able to stop him. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Of course, Longao would not miss this opportunity. With a stride, his entire figure had already rushed out and used spatial teleportation. In a few seconds, Longao's figure had already appeared at the exit. With a few hundred meters of distance, as long as he teleported or continued to stride forward, he believed that Longao would be able to smoothly leave the Dragon Clan. At this moment, at the critical moment, four people suddenly shot in from the exit. They were none other than Long Hang and the other 4 who had rushed over from the 9 provinces continent. The 5 people who had just stepped into the Dragon Clan suddenly saw Longao who was preparing to leave. Both parties were stunned. Whether it was Long Hang and the other 4 or Longao, it seemed that they did not expect to meet at this place at this time. When enemies met, their eyes would turn red. Without any suspense, Long Hang and the other 4 immediately attacked Longao. Not only that, Long Hang directly used his divine weapon. Under such circumstances, not only could Longao not use spatial teleportation, he could also not enter the Dragon Seal space. Longao was forced to retreat step by step. Not to mention the 5 of them joining forces, even if it was a one-on-one situation, it would be difficult for him to deal with them. As for Bai Ling and Xiling, he could not casually appear. Once they were discovered by Long Hang, not only would he not be able to escape, even Xiling and Bai Ling's identities would be exposed. At that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Gotcha! Longao was fiercely hit by Long Hang, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Even so, Longao still forcibly withstood it. Only by relying on his speed could he barely withstand it. If it was an ordinary heavenly god, he would have been killed by Long Hang and the other 4. How could he withstand so many attacks? Longao, this time you're dead for sure. Unknowingly, a few minutes had already passed in the battle between the 2 sides. The battle between the 2 sides was too loud. Long Tion and the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon, who were looking for Longao, had already rushed over. Seeing Longao being surrounded by Long Hang and the other 4, Long Tion and the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon were pleasantly surprised. One man and one dragon thought about it and felt a lingering fear. Because if Long Hang did not rush back in time, Longao would have successfully escaped, although they did not know what had happened. Chapter 1390. In the Great Battle, Longao was paying attention to all directions. How could he not know that Long Tion and the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon had arrived? The more he fought, the more serious he became. Was he really going to die here this time? He was unwilling. He roared angrily. Next, Longao immediately summoned his Samsara clone back. 2 identical Longao fought against Long Hang and the other 4. As for Long Tion, the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon and the others, they all stood around and watched the battle, no one intervening. The surroundings of the battle were completely surrounded. The more it was like this, the more serious Longao became. Let's not talk about whether or not he could defeat Long Hang and the other 4. Even if he could defeat the 5 of them, there were still countless experts waiting around. He couldn't possibly destroy the entire Dragon Clan and the Long family. Silent God Bow. The reincarnation clone pulled the Silent Death Divine Bow and used all the strength in his body to cover for Longao. Blood Pool. 9 Needles Sealing God. Longao knew very well that if he wanted to leave the Dragon Clan smoothly, he could only use the Blood Pool or the 9 Needles Sealing God. Other than that, there was no other way. Longao obviously knew the consequences of forcefully using the Blood Pool and the 9 Needles Sealing God. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would never use it casually. However, in this situation, it was a matter of life and death. One side was death, and the other side was the risk of being devoured. What should he choose? The Samsara clone used the power of the silent god Bao to forcefully avoid the 5 of them. After thinking about it, Longao finally chose to give up on using the blood pool and the 9 needles sealing god. This was because he did not have the slightest confidence in the consequences of forcefully using the 9 needles sealing god and the blood pool. He couldn't die. Even if it wasn't for himself, he had to do it for his family and his loved ones. Space-time wheel. With no other choice, Longao prepared to use the space-time wheel to forcefully break through space and leave. In other words, if he forcefully used the space-time wheel, it was still unknown if he could successfully reach the Dragon Valley. The reason was simple. With Longao's strength, he was still unable to use the space-time wheel to retract and release it freely. Longao, who had just released his aura and was about to use the space-time wheel to leave, suddenly had a change of expression. This was because he had clearly sensed that the aura he had released, even if it was the aura of the space-time wheel, had been forcefully repelled by an invisible barrier. Could this be the so-called taboo power? What a terrifying taboo power. No wonder taboo power was unique to those at the pinnacle of martial arts. Big brother, it's fortunate that we've already activated our taboo power. Otherwise, Longao would have really escaped. He nodded. Long Dtian agreed and said, with our strength, we can at most maintain the taboo power for a day. If we forcefully attack, we only have one chance. Hearing Long Dtian's words, the 9 heavens divine dragon laughed. His face was filled with disdain and contempt, but he was even more confident. It was in the bag. Big brother, there are so many of us here. If we still let Longao escape, then our dragon clan and the Long family won't be able to survive in the future. Looking at the battle in front of him, although Long Dtian did not say anything, he was still not completely confident. If it were anyone else, Long Dtian would not be worried at all. However, Longao was a person with a lot of variables. He did not know why, but he felt that Longao still had some tricks up his sleeve. Otherwise, Longao would not be so reckless. Could it be that Longao really did not care about his own life for Long Quan? Was that possible? Longao, who was in the middle of the battle, joined forces with his reincarnation doppelganger and fought with all his might. This was because he was facing Long Hang and the other 4. If he let his guard down, he would be cut into pieces by them. He could not afford to be distracted. Longao knew very well that this could not continue. As the battle continued to escalate, Long Hang's face became uglier and uglier. This was because with the strength of the 5 of them, they were unable to kill Longao within 30 moves. This was something unbelievable. Big brother, should we take action? Seeing that Long Hang and the other 4 were still unable to kill Longao, the heavenly dragon god could not sit still and wanted to take action immediately. This was because Longao took Long Quan without permission. This was a provocation to the Dragon Clan. If Longao did not die, where would the Dragon Clan's face go? He waved his hand. Long Dtian looked at the battle in front of him coldly and said, according to Longao's previous actions, I can almost say that Longao definitely has a trump card. If we all take action and Longao escapes, the gains will not make up for the losses. The heavenly dragon god did not think much of it. This was because, in his opinion, how could Longao escape when things had already come to this point? Unless they purposely went easy on him. But was that possible? Sister, I want to go out. Inside the dragon seal space. Bai Ling's face was filled with worry because Longao was surrounded by countless experts. The outcome was obvious. However, Xiling pulled Bai Ling back. His meaning was very clear. He wanted to stop Bai Ling and did not allow Bai Ling to go out. Bai Ling, calm down first. If we can kill Nirvana Realm warriors, we can go out at any time. But now, with our strength, we can only kill warriors below the Emperor God realm. Tell me, even if we go out, will we be of any help to Longao? Without waiting for Bai Ling to continue, Xiling continued, if you insist on going out, I will not stop you. But I have to remind you that if you force your way out, not only will you not be of any help to Longao, you will even become a burden to him. Xiling did not continue to stop her. Bai Ling calmed down because Bai Ling realized that her sister was right. With her strength, it was impossible for her to kill a Nirvana realm warrior. If she went out like this, not only would she not be of any help to Brother Long, she might even become a burden to him. Sister, with Brother Long's current situation, it will be very difficult for him to escape. Think of a way to help him. Bai Ling was very anxious, because in this situation, every minute they delayed, Brother Long would be in more danger. Xiling nodded. How could he not know? He said, Bai Ling, don't worry. Although Long Ao's strength is not enough to fight against Long Hang and the others, his divine ability is very powerful. If you want to leave the Dragon Clan, there is only one way. What is it? Hearing that her sister had a way to save Brother Long, Bai Ling was overjoyed. She could not wait to ask. Bai Ling, let's use our sword essence and pour it into Long Ao's body. Although it can only be used once, it will be enough to make Long Ao leave the Dragon Clan. However, our injuries will become more serious. If that happens, it will take us a long time to recover our peak strength. Sister, I'm willing. Bai Ling agreed without even thinking or hesitating. Xiling seemed to have guessed that his sister would say this. He sighed deeply and felt extremely helpless. Since things had already come to this, there was no point in saying anything more. He could only do his best to help Long Ao. Chapter 1391. The battle continued. It continued to escalate. Even though Long Ao had the help of the reincarnation clone, he was still forced to retreat by Long Hang and the other four. Long Ao knew that if this continued, the chances of him dying would be very high. Brother Long, my sister and I will help you with all our strength. Remember, you only have the power of one sword. You must leave the Dragon Clan. At this moment of life and death, Long Ao couldn't care about anything else. In the next second, Long Ao felt that there were suddenly two extremely terrifying sword chi-s in his body. Without any suspense, these two sword chi-s were the purple spirit and white spirit sword chi-s. He roared into the sky. His roar spread across the entire world. Seeing Long Ao's crazy look, everyone laughed. In everyone's opinion, Long Ao was dead for sure this time. But then, everyone's face changed. Brother. Before the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon could finish, Long Ditian said, Everyone, back off. Not daring to be careless, everyone retreated quickly. This was because Long Ao's body suddenly released a terrifying aura. It was terrifying. What the hell happened? Long Hang and the other four who were in the middle of the battle also didn't know what happened. Why did Long Ao, who was struggling on the verge of death, become so strong for no reason? Long Hang and the other four didn't have the slightest intention of stopping because the battle had already reached this stage. The five of them were very clear in their hearts that they had to kill Long Ao. Otherwise, if the others killed Long Ao, wouldn't the five of them be futile? Thinking of this, the five of them attacked faster and faster, especially Long Hang. His speed was extremely fast. The reincarnation clone suddenly disappeared. He replaced the sword with his finger. Long Ao's body released a terrifying sword chi, causing Long Hang and the other four to be unable to get close to him. The five of them looked gloomy because at this moment, no one knew what was going on. Brother, what happened to Long Ao? Long Ditian's expression turned extremely gloomy as he looked at the young man standing proudly in front of him. His voice was extremely cold as Long Ditian said coldly, Long Ao, if my guess is correct, there should be a divine soul in Long Ao's body, and its strength should not be weaker than the old ancestors. My grass. Long Ditian's words scared the Nine Firmaments divine dragon. Because his strength was not weaker than the great ancestor, the divine dragon of the Nine Heavens knew what it meant. If that was the case, he finally knew why Long Ao was able to counterattack every time. A divine soul at the peak of the Nirvana realm could be lent to Long Ao. If that was the case, then all the dark clouds had already been cleared. Long Ao was only a puny heavenly god martial artist. It was impossible for him to possess such a powerful sword force. Could it be that the Nirvana divine soul hiding in Long Ao's body was a senior from the sword sect? As if he could guess what the divine dragon of the Nine Heavens was thinking, Long Ditian sneered. Although I am still unable to confirm the identity of the Nirvana divine soul in Long Ao's body, The other party's identity should not be simple. If you and I can obtain this divine soul, I believe it will be of great help to our cultivation." Hearing this, the divine dragon of the 9 heavens was also filled with greed. "Brother, what should we do now?" "Retreat in order to advance." "Retreat in order to advance?" The divine dragon of the 9 heavens was puzzled. He did not know what Long Dtion meant by retreat in order to advance. He laughed. Long Dtion never expected that there would be a divine soul at the peak of the nirvana realm in Longao's body. To him, this was undoubtedly the greatest treasure. If he could devour it, Long Dtion had full confidence that his cultivation would be able to advance. The more it was so, the more careful Long Dtion was. He could not let Longao leave. If I'm not wrong, the current Longao should be borrowing the power of the divine soul. Nodding his head, the divine dragon of the 9 heavens agreed. If we were to fight head-on now, even if we could kill Longao and obtain the nirvana divine soul, I believe we would suffer heavy losses. "Brother, let's use the taboo power." The divine dragon of the 9 heavens was full of confidence. Once the taboo power was activated, not to mention Longao, even a nirvana realm martial artist would not be able to resist the taboo power. The taboo power was a power unique to the pinnacle of the martial Tao. The taboo power was also the most powerful power in the world. The taboo power could destroy the world. It was a superpower that could destroy everything. However, Long Dtion shook his head and said, "Once we use the taboo power, not only Longao, but even the nirvana divine soul in Longao's body will also disappear." Long Dtion was very clear that the taboo power was too powerful. He had to obtain the nirvana divine soul in Longao's body. Therefore, he could not use the taboo power until the last moment. "Brother, what if Longao escapes?" A divine soul will always be a divine soul. At this point, the divine dragon of the 9 heavens did not continue speaking. If the divine dragon of the 9 heavens and Long Dtion knew that the divine soul in Longao's body was not only a nirvana divine soul, but also a divine soul that was at the pinnacle of the martial way, who knew what would happen to the man and the dragon? If that was really the case, the man and the dragon would definitely get it no matter how much they had to pay. Being surrounded by everyone, Longao did not continue attacking. On the other hand, Longao stood in his original position. He was dressed in black, and his blood-red hair fluttered in the wind. At this moment, Longao looked extremely cold, as if the god of death had descended. One sword. According to what Bai Ling said, the two of them could only help him unleash one sword. In other words, this sword would not be able to leave the Dragon Clan. The result was obvious. This sword must succeed. Longao was very careful. There was only one chance, and he would not choose to give up so easily. Longao was very clear about the strength of Xiling and Bai Ling. With the two of them helping him, he believed that this sword would be a sword that even ghosts and gods would be afraid of. If he could not leave even with this, it would mean that he was done for. Using his finger as a sword, Longao merged all the strength in his body into the two-sword chi, forming a brand new sword chi and gathering it into the god-slaying sword art. Not only that, to ensure that nothing would go wrong, Longao even combined the 5 elements heaven-devouring art, the firmament-devouring art, and the 9-cycle reincarnation art. No one knew how powerful this sword would be, not even Longao. Swoosh! Longao used his finger as a sword to release a sword chi. With a flash of light, it was like a meteor streaking across the sky. Before the crowd could figure out what was going on, the sword chi had already streaked across the sky and landed fiercely in front of them. No screams were issued. In just a few seconds, at least thousands of people had fallen. Among them, there were even supreme Tao warriors. Even Nirvana realm warriors were injured by the sword chi. Seeing this situation, everyone was stunned. Each and every one of them looked as if they had seen a ghost. They were stupefied on the spot. Chapter 1392. This sword strike. It shocked the heavens and earth. This sword strike. Even Long Dtion and the 9 firmaments divine dragon did not dare to fight him head-on. At the entrance of the Dragon Clan, wherever the sword chi passed, it would be forcefully cut open, as if there was an earthquake. Looking at the scene that had just happened, not to mention the others, Just Long Dition and the heavenly divine dragon were a little dumbfounded. The man and the dragon had already thought that Long Ao's strength was definitely not simple with the help of his divine soul. But even so, the man and the dragon never thought that Long Ao's strength would be so strong with the help of his divine soul. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. Was this for real? Big brother. Hearing the heavenly divine dragon's reminder, Long Dition shuddered. Long Ao, don't even think about escaping. After releasing a shocking sword strike, Long Ao obviously would not miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Taking advantage of the moment when everyone was in a daze, he disappeared from his original spot. One step away. With just one step, Long Ao would be able to leave the Dragon Clan smoothly. If that was the case, Long Ao would once again become famous, provoking the Dragon Clan and forcefully taking away Long Quan. Not only that, with the Long family and all the experts of the Dragon Clan out, if Long Ao was still able to leave successfully, such a feat would probably be unprecedented. Since things had already reached this point, Long Ao naturally thought that he could leave the Dragon Clan smoothly. But in the end, forbidden power. In the end, Long Dition did not care about the Nirvana divine soul in Long Ao's body and directly activated the forbidden power. According to Long Dition and the heavenly divine dragon's strength, the two of them could only activate the forbidden power once. In other words, they only had one chance. If they could not hit him, then Long Ao would successfully leave the Dragon Clan. The man and the dragon were extremely confident. The forbidden power was unparalleled. If that was the case, Long Ao could still leave the Dragon Clan successfully, then the Long family and the Dragon Clan could all commit suicide. Just as Long Ao was about to leave, he suddenly found himself enveloped by a terrifying power. Enveloped by this terrifying power, Long Ao felt that he had no strength to resist at all. There was no need to guess. Long Ao had already determined that the power that enveloped him was the final trump card of the Dragon Clan and the Long family. It was also the so-called forbidden power, a power unique to powerhouses at the peak of martial arts. There was no chance at all. Long Ao's heart was filled with endless unwillingness. Long Ao knew his limits because he knew very well that it was utterly impossible for him to resist the taboo energy with his current strength. This was just like how a Hotian warrior was unable to contend against a Xiantian warrior. Bai Ling, no? Looking at Bai Ling, who had suddenly appeared in front of him, Long Ao let out a heart-wrenching roar that reverberated throughout the heavens and earth. At this moment, of course, Long Ao knew what Bai Ling wanted to do by suddenly appearing. If Bai Ling was at her peak, not to mention resisting the taboo energy, she could even destroy the taboo energy with ease. But in the current situation, Bai Ling was seriously injured. Not to mention the peak of martial arts, Bai Ling could not even contend against a Nirvana warrior, let alone the taboo energy. It could be said that Bai Ling resisted the taboo energy and there was only one outcome, which was to be destroyed by the taboo energy. Of course, Long Ao did not want to see this happen. He would rather die than see anything happen to Bai Ling. Not only Long Ao, but even Xiling was a little dumbfounded. However, the taboo energy was too terrifying. In the end, Xiling forced herself to endure. Because Xiling knew very well that even if she went out now, not only would it be useless, but she would also be destroyed by the taboo energy. His sister was too silly. Big brother, divine soul. Without needing Heavenly Dragon God to say anything, Long Dition had already seen it. Although it was a pity, things had already come to this point. He had to keep Long Ao here. Otherwise, the Dragon Tribe and the Long family would be embarrassed. Everyone who was watching from the sidelines was extremely excited. The taboo energy was the strongest energy in the legends. Everyone knew that the taboo energy was the trump card of the Dragon Tribe and the Long family. Once the taboo energy was released, who could resist it? Long Ao was dead for sure this time. As for the lady in white who suddenly appeared, everyone already knew what was going on. Because of this, everyone knew that Long Ao was able to counterattack time and time again because of this divine soul. Without the divine soul, Long Ao was nothing. Everything was over. With the taboo energy activated, Long Ao was definitely going to die. For some reason, Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Longao and the lady in white being enveloped by the taboo energy. Big Brother Long, take care in the future. Bai Ling will leave first. No. It was heart-wrenching. Longao cried out in pain. His entire body was trembling intensely because of the pain. However, at this moment, Longao was enveloped by the taboo energy and could not move at all. He could only watch as Bai Ling sacrificed herself for him. With my body, Bai Ling began to chant something. Suddenly, her entire body emitted an intense white light. Between heaven and earth, the taboo energy was like a shining sun. It became brighter and brighter, stronger and stronger. Accompanied by the screams of countless people, the taboo energy began to attack Bai Ling crazily. The taboo energy was like an avalanche. No. Seeing Bai Ling being attacked by the taboo energy, Longao roared crazily. However, his body was still unable to move. He could only watch as Bai Ling was attacked by the taboo energy. Pain. A heart-wrenching pain. At this moment, Longao's eyes were red. He was like a mad lion. Feeling that his body could not move, the anger and hatred in his heart erupted like a volcano. He could only watch as Bai Ling in front of him was devoured by the taboo energy and even destroyed. Everyone heard Longao's heart-wrenching roar and looked at the crazy Longao. Everyone sneered. For so long, Longao had repeatedly provoked and counterattacked, causing the Long family and the Dragon clan to lose face. Now that Longao was killed, how could everyone not be agitated? In the Dragon Seal space, sister, now that things had come to such a stage, even Purple Spirit did not know what she should say or do. In the ninth heaven, Bai Ling's body had been devoured. Next was Longao. Everyone was almost certain that Longao would undoubtedly die. No one could survive under the taboo energy. This was the power of the taboo energy. Bai Ling's kindness, Bai Ling's smile, and Bai Ling's innocence. Scenes flashed through Longao's mind. Thinking that Bai Ling had died because of him, Longao was overwhelmed with pain. Anger. Endless anger. Gradually, the murderous aura on Longao's body became heavier and heavier. Chapter 1393. Endless anger turned into a roar that resounded between heaven and earth. Clan leader. He waved his hand. Before Long Hang could speak, Long Dtion had already said, "The forbidden power is invincible. His soul has already been destroyed by the forbidden power. No matter how angry Longao is, he can forget about leaving alive." Hearing this, Long Hang heaved a sigh of relief. Longao was too unpredictable. Even so, Long Hang was still a little emotional. Longao was just a small divine path cultivator. Back then, he had not even reached the so-called innate realm. He was such a small figure. Now, to kill him, they had to use the Long family and the Dragon clan's final trump card, the forbidden power. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have believed it. Even if Longao died, he believed that his name would be known in the world. If such a talent could be included in the Long family, it would be impossible. It has begun. The forbidden power had just destroyed Bai Ling, and now it was attacking Longao with all its might. Everyone was excited because it was the first time they had seen such a powerful forbidden power. Longao did not give up. Accompanied by endless roars, he began to frantically counterattack the forbidden power. Was Longao stupid? Looking at Longao's crazy actions, everyone laughed. Counterattacking the forbidden power was like hitting a rock with an egg. It was completely suicidal. In the sky, Longao clenched his fists and frantically counterattacked. However, how could Longao's strength resist the forbidden power? In just a few seconds, Longao was already covered in wounds and bleeding from his 7 orifices. He looked extremely terrifying. In order to counterattack the forbidden power, Longao did not hesitate to use his blood essence and bloodline. Countless blood mist spurted out from Longao's body like boiling water, carrying anger, unwillingness, pain, despair, and even a trace of mutual destruction, like a moth flying into a flame. Longao's entire body was dyed red with blood. Even so, Longao was still hovering in the air, constantly fighting back against the forbidden power. Those who were laughing earlier all shut their mouths in this situation. All of them were watching the battle of the nine heavens solemnly. Longao would rather die than submit. Such a person, no matter who it was, even if it was an enemy, would definitely be moved. Long Tion, Long Hang, and the nine firmaments divine dragon also had serious expressions. In this battle, regardless of whether Longao lived or died, he believed that Longao was worthy of respect. If it were anyone else, they would have chosen to give up under such a powerful taboo energy. Only Longao would rather die than submit, and he continued to fight back against the taboo energy. With a punch, Longao's body once again exploded into a bloody mist. The taboo power opened its bloody mouth and roared madly at Longao. Everyone in the surroundings retreated once again. With heaven and earth as the guide and sword chi as the spirit, with my blood body, I will break the heaven and earth. Right at this moment, the moment Longao was killed by the taboo energy, a voice suddenly rang out between heaven and earth, rumbling and spreading to every inch of the place. A huge white vortex suddenly appeared in front of Longao. A woman in white stood in the middle of the vortex, like a sharp sword, piercing through the nine heavens. Wasn't this the soul that had just been destroyed by the taboo energy? Wasn't this Bai Ling? Everyone, including Longao, was dumbfounded. But in the next moment, Longao already knew what Bai Ling wanted to do. It turned out that Bai Ling wasn't swallowed by the taboo energy just now. She was just preparing to help him avoid the attack of the taboo energy so that he could leave the dragon race smoothly. White light flashed, and the dazzling white light enveloped Longao. The taboo energy was actually blocked. What happened? Everyone looked at the nine heavens, and they were all dumbfounded, because no one would have thought that the soul that had just fallen could actually resist the taboo energy. Was this for real? Boom. The dazzling white light and the taboo energy clashed together fiercely, letting out a resounding boom that shook the entire nine heavens. The invincible taboo energy was rebounded back, and the white light enveloped the entire dragon race. Like a meteor shower, the white light rained down on the ground of the dragon race. Boom, boom, boom. In just a few short seconds, the entire dragon race seemed to have been robbed. If not for the fact that all the Nirvana State martial artists had joined forces to fight back, everyone from the dragon race would have fallen by now. With the help of the dazzling white light and the taboo energy, a gigantic tear was forcefully ripped open in midair. A dimensional tear. Looking at the black air currents that were being sucked in by the dimensional tear, everyone was dumbfounded. Even Long Tion and the nine firmaments god dragon could not help but shiver. That was because everyone knew what a dimensional tear meant. In front of a dimensional tear, no matter who it was, there was only death awaiting them. But under such circumstances, no one dared to make a move. It was like the end of the world. Everyone from the dragon race had not expected things to come to this. The dimensional tear covered the entire heavens and earth. In just a few short seconds, no one dared to make a single move. The dimensional tear was slowly fusing together. And just then, Longao's extremely cold voice rang out from within the dazzling white light. With my bloodline, I swear to the heavens and earth that as long as I don't exterminate the dragon race and the Long family, I'm not human. If I don't fulfill my blood oath, I'll be struck by lightning. Following the disappearance of the white light and the taboo energy, the entire heavens and earth returned to normal. What in the world had just happened? Everyone was dumbfounded. Until now, no one had reacted to the situation. Could it be that Longao had already left? Was that even possible? However, everyone had clearly heard the blood oath that Longao had made a moment ago. Even if everyone was unwilling to admit it in their hearts, everyone knew that Longao had indeed left. He had left under the influence of the taboo power. He had left under the influence of the experts of Long Clan and Dragon Clan. At this point, no one was willing to believe it. Longao's blood oath resounded throughout the heavens and earth. Even now, it was still ringing in everyone's ears. No one doubted the blood oath, because once Longao made the blood oath, it meant that Longao had to destroy the dragon race and the Long family. Otherwise, he would be struck by lightning. If one did not remove the roots, they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Letting the tiger return to the mountain would leave behind future troubles. No one knew just how powerful Longao would become in the future. After suffering this loss, Longao would definitely go into hiding. In the Martial Heaven continent, trying to find traces of a single person in a sea of people was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Even the Long family and the dragon race were unable to do that. No one had thought that Longao would be able to leave in such a situation. It was inconceivable. Chapter 1394. The Great Battle of the Dragon Clan. The news of Longao snatching the Dragon Spring, fighting with the Dragon Clan, and the Long family had already spread throughout the entire Sky Martial continent. It shook the world. Longao's name also shook the Sky Martial continent. The Dragon Clan and the Long family sent out all their experts, but they were still unable to kill Longao. Was that true? The Dragon Clan and the Long family used their trump card, the taboo power, but were still unable to kill Longao. Was that true? The news of Longao having the help of the Divine Soul had also spread throughout the Sky Martial continent. Even so, countless people still admired Longao. In this battle, Longao had actually won. The current Dragon Clan was in tatters. First, it was Longao's heaven-shaking sword, followed by the collision of the dazzling white light and the taboo power. Both times, the Dragon Clan had not been destroyed, which was a blessing in disguise. Even so, in this battle, the Long family and the Dragon Clan had suffered heavy losses. At least tens of thousands of people had died. As for Longao, whether he was alive or dead, no one knew. In the end, Longao swore a heaven and earth blood oath. Many people thought that Longao was still alive, but there were also many people who thought that Longao was dead. Under the taboo power, it would be difficult for Longao to escape with just him, but it was still the same. In this battle, regardless of whether Longao was alive or dead, Longao could be considered to have won. In the current Sky Martial continent, everyone was discussing the great battle of the Dragon Clan. 9 continents. Dragon Valley. The elegant courtyard was abnormally quiet. No one dared to enter the courtyard. Even Longao and Long Yi did not enter. The reason was simple. 3 days ago, Longao returned to the Dragon Valley with injuries all over his body. After handing the Dragon Spring over to Xiling, he immediately entered the courtyard. No matter who it was, they were not allowed to enter the courtyard without permission. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. Longao and the rest were very clear. Even if they entered, they believed that Ao'er would not make a move. But since Ao'er had already said so, they did not want to disturb him. Everyone, including Longao, Long Yi, and his wife, were waiting outside the courtyard. Their faces were filled with worry. Everyone already knew about the war between the Dragon Clan and the Dragon Clan. Until now, no one had recovered from the shock. Everyone in the Dragon Valley was very confident in Longao, but never would they have thought that he would be able to wreak havoc in the Dragon Tribe, draw out the forbidden power of the Dragon Tribe, and escape without a hitch. Everyone could see that Longao was seriously injured. However, what no one could guess was who was the one who saved Longao in the end. The white-clothed woman. In the courtyard, it was an elegant room with simple decorations. Longao, who was lying on the bed, slowly opened his eyes. His face was pale and his body was trembling slightly. Slowly, he sat up on the bed and looked at the surrounding walls. As if recalling something, his face turned even paler. It's not real. Longao hoped that everything that had happened 3 days ago was not real. Longao, looking at the purple figure that suddenly appeared in front of him, Longao slowly raised his arm and waved his hand. Pain was written all over his weathered face. Longao slowly stood up. He looked like he was in extreme pain. In a flash, Longao's figure disappeared from the room. In the dragon seal space, on the huge white bed, a white-clothed woman was lying. The white-clothed woman was lying quietly like an ice beauty that had been sleeping for 10,000 years. She was very quiet and looked very beautiful. Coming to the bedside, looking at Bai Ling, who was so close to him, Longao closed his eyes in pain. When he opened them again, his face was extremely pale. His body was on the verge of collapse, and he almost fell. Tears flowed silently. Heartache. Endless heartache. Longao could not hold on any longer. He sat down on the bed and held Bai Ling's small hand tightly. He said in pain, "Bai Ling, why did you do this? You sacrificed yourself to save me." At this point, Longao could not continue. Long Fu and Xiling slowly walked over. Seeing Longao in this state, both of them sighed deeply. Longao. He waved his hand. Longao raised his head and looked at Long Fu and Xiling in front of him. He asked, "Is there any way to save Bai Ling?" How could Long Fu and Xiling not know what Longao meant? The two of them looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. If Bai Ling was at her peak, of course she would not be afraid of the forbidden power. However, with Bai Ling's current situation, it was impossible for her to resist the forbidden power. Bai Ling sacrificed herself for Longao. "Master," waving his hand again. Longao's voice was clearly cold. He said, "I just want to know what I should do to save Bai Ling. I don't want to hear anything else." Long Fu was a little dumbfounded. Master had never been like this for so long. Long Fu looked at Xiling. His meaning was very clear. With just one look, Longao understood that Long Fu did not have a way. He then looked at Xiling and said, "No matter the price, I have to save Bai Ling." Looking at Longao in front of him and his sister lying on the bed, Xiling sighed deeply and said helplessly, "If I didn't use the sword essence in the beginning, with my sister's strength, she wouldn't have fallen to this point." However, hearing this, Longao's face became even paler. "Longao, my sister has already swallowed the original body and condensed the sword realm. As long as the sword essence is not destroyed, she won't die. However, if you want to save her, there is only one way." "What way?" Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was delighted. According to Xiling's words, Bai Ling could still be saved. He could not wait to ask. "Longao, you should know my sisters and my identity. I just said that as long as the sword essence is not destroyed, she won't die. Therefore, if you want to wake her up, you have to strengthen the sword essence. According to the current situation, as long as you can find two things, you can save Bai Ling." "What things?" No matter what Bai Ling needed, he believed that Longao would get it, even if it was a mountain of knives and a sea of fire, or even if it was a narrow escape. The first thing is the spiritual pulse of heaven and earth. The second is the sword essence space. Spiritual pulse of heaven and earth? Sword essence space? Without waiting for Longao to speak, Xiling continued, "If I'm not wrong, the sword sect should have the sword essence space. I believe that after the war with the Dragon Clan, Jin Tian will value you more. When you enter the sword sect, you can enter the sword essence space. This is very simple. If that was the case, it would be much easier." Longao heaved a sigh of relief. "Xiling, where can I find the spiritual pulse of heaven and earth?" Longao had never heard of the spiritual pulse of heaven and earth. Looking at Xiling's serious face, Longao could imagine how difficult it was to find the spiritual pulse of heaven and earth. Otherwise, Xiling would not be so serious. "Longao, I don't know where to find the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. However, I can tell you that once you find the spiritual vein of heaven and earth, not only will you be able to save Bai Ling, it will also be of great help to her recovery." Chapter 1395. He felt somewhat helpless. He was also somewhat disappointed. Even Xiling did not know where the heaven and earth spirit vein was. It was easier said than done to find it in the sea of people. Longao finally heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Bai Ling had not truly disappeared. He did not continue speaking. After leaving the dragon seal space, Longao roughly told his grandfather and parents about what had happened. Now that the sword world has been successfully set up, our Dragon Valley should be fine for 3 years." He nodded. This time, he had risked his life to obtain the Dragon Spring. It was all for the sake of successfully setting up the sword world. Xiling did not disappoint him. With the help of the Dragon Spring and the Dragon Jade, Xiling successfully set up the sword world. According to Xiling, once the sword world was set up, within 3 years, unless an expert at the peak of the martial path came, even Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon would not be able to enter the sword world. The family's matters could be said to have come to an end. Ao'er, what are you going to do next? Longao and the others already knew about Bai Ling's matter. He thought about it. Grandfather, I'm preparing to leave Dragon Valley in a few days. Bai Ling is unconscious because of me. No matter what, I have to find the heaven and earth spirit vein. Longao was not surprised at all. He knew his grandson very well. If Bai Ling could sacrifice herself for him, then Ao'er could also sacrifice himself for Bai Ling. He was very gratified. It was enough to have such a grandson. However, Longao was very worried. After the war with the dragon race, he believed that the Long family and the dragon race would not let his grandson go. If Ao'er rashly entered the Sky Martial continent, there would be a lot of trouble. Ao'er, this time, you have to be careful in the Sky Martial continent. Grandfather only hopes that you remember one thing. Think carefully about everything. Don't act rashly. Where there is life, there is hope. He nodded. How could Longao not know about his grandfather's worries? Grandfather, after I leave Dragon Valley, you have to speed up the family's cultivation. 1 year later, I will start attacking the dragon race and the Long family. 1 year? 1 year was neither long nor short. Longao's expression was very grave. No matter what, the dragon tribe and the Long family were both very powerful. Even if the Dragon Valley was developing at a fast pace, was it possible to defeat the Long family and the Dragon Valley in a year? The Battle of the Dragon Clan seemed to have caused great harm to Ao'er. Ao'er, is 1 year enough? That's enough. Since Longao had already said so, Longao didn't say anything more. Grandpa. For the rest of the time, Longao and Longao were talking about something. Tianwu continent. Yuan didn't know anything about the Dragon Clan's war from beginning to end. Yuan followed Hades to the west. She did not return to the Martial Artists Alliance. Hades knew very well that if he brought Yuan back to the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Zun and Tong Tiandi would not let Yuan go. Master, where exactly are we going? Yuan, you have only just started to comprehend the heaven and earth. If you want to increase your cultivation speed, there is only one way. That is to go to the Western region. There, I have a secret place that can help you. Western region? Hearing that her master wanted to bring her to the Western region, Yuan was a little unwilling. She had entered the Tianwu continent to look for Longao. If she went to the Western region, who knew how long it would take to find Longao? The Tianwu continent was divided into 5 major continents. They were the Eastern Region continent, the Western Region continent, the Southern Sea continent, the Northern Plains continent, and the Middle Tianwu continent. The Western Region continent was a very valiant place. Under normal circumstances, other than the people of the Western region, very few people would go to the Western region. He seemed to be able to guess what Yuan was thinking. Hades thought for a moment and said, Yuan, I have already said that with your current strength, even if you find Longao, you will not be able to help him. Rather than that, you might as well use this time to cultivate. Before Yuan could say anything, Hades continued, the 5 Nirvana realms. Yuan, only when you have reached the true Nirvana realm can you summon the wind and summon the rain in the Tianwu continent. Only then can you truly help Longao. The 5 Nirvana realms, from the lowest to the highest, were comprehending the heaven and earth, unity of man, cycle multiplication, nirvana, and rebirth. Nirvana and rebirth were the realms that Long Tian and the others had reached. How could Yuan not know what her master had said? Master, with my current situation, how long would it take for me to comprehend the heaven and earth and break through to the Nirvana realm? Yuan was very clear about her situation. Not only was it a matter of talent, her physique was also very special. Otherwise, she would not have been able to advance from a post-liminary realm warrior to a Nirvana realm warrior in such a short period of time. Even the first Tong Zun of the Martial Artists Alliance could not compare to such a cultivation speed. At least 3 years, at most 10 years. I believe that your cultivation will be able to break through to the Nirvana realm from comprehending the heaven and earth. Yuan, I only hope that you can break through the final bottleneck and achieve Nirvana and rebirth. At that time, unless the heavenly Tao descends, you will be the strongest warrior in the world. From the beginning to the end, Hades had never thought of letting Yuan break through to the peak realm of martial arts. This was because the most crucial part of breaking through from the nirvana realm to the peak realm of martial arts, the origin energy, had been completely controlled by the heavenly Tao. No one could get it at all, including Long Tian and Tong Zun. If they could get it, Long Tian and the others would have already broken through to the peak realm of martial arts. At least 3 years, at most 10 years. Yuyin did not continue to say anything. Since things had come to this point, she could only choose to follow her master to the western region. She hoped that she could smoothly break through to the nirvana realm. If she could achieve nirvana and rebirth, that would be the best. Yuyin had already agreed with Hades's words, because she also knew that with her current strength, she could not help Long Ao to the greatest extent. After all, Long Ao's enemies were the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family. Just as her master had said, if her cultivation could continuously break through and reach the so-called nirvana realm, it would be more than enough to help Long Ao. Even if she was unwilling to do so, Yuyin still chose to continue cultivating. Yuyin continued to follow Hades. Because the Tianwu continent was very far from the western region, even with their strength, it would take at least a few days to reach the western region from the Tianwu continent. Especially under such circumstances, Yuyin could not wait to reach the western region. In the endless void, the sky was filled with twinkling stars. 2 figures were constantly flickering. In the blink of an eye, Hades and Yuyin's figures had already disappeared into the boundless night. A few croaks of frogs sounded. A crescent moon hung high in the void. This was an ordinary night, but also an extraordinary night. Chapter 1396. Sky Martial Continent. Long Family. Inside the main hall, Long Di Tian, Heavenly Divine Dragon, Long Hang, and the others were all present. At this moment, the atmosphere in the main hall was rather heavy. Because of the great battle of the Dragon Clan, the losses to the Long family and the Dragon Clan were immeasurable. Patriarch, if the 2 old ancestors find out about this battle, how are we going to explain it? They were helpless. Currently, the primordial Divine Dragon and Long Tian were in seclusion and did not know about the great battle of the Dragon Clan. However, Long Hang and the others could completely predict that if the 2 old ancestors found out about this battle, would the 2 old ancestors let them off easily? In this battle, not only did the Long family and the Dragon Clan suffer heavy losses, their reputation was also ruined. How could the Heavenly Divine Dragon and Long Di Tian not know what Long Hang meant? Their faces became even gloomier. The Heavenly Divine Dragon and Long Di Tian looked at each other. They could see endless anger in each other's eyes, but more of it was disbelief. Until this moment, the 2 of them could not believe that Long Ao could escape from the taboo power. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. It was truly inconceivable. The reason why Long Ao was able to leave this time was all because of the help of his soul. Big Brother is right. I never thought that the soul would sacrifice itself in order to help Long Ao leave. Whether it was Long Di Tian, the Heavenly Divine Dragon, or the others, they all agreed that Bai Ling was dead for sure after resisting the taboo power. Without the help of his soul, Long Ao is already crippled. Now, everyone was certain that Long Ao was able to counterattack time and time again because of the power of his soul. With just Long Ao's strength alone, not to mention fighting against the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family, even if they casually sent out a supreme divine warrior, they could easily kill Long Ao. Patriarch, with the current situation, we must kill Long Ao as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the 2 old ancestors come out of seclusion, it will be difficult for us to explain. He nodded. Long Di Tian thought for a moment, then said, "You are right. Long Ao no longer has the help of his divine soul. Killing Long Ao is extremely easy. However, the most important thing right now is how are we going to find Long Ao?" The Sky Martial Continent was filled with people. Trying to find a single person in the Sky Martial Continent was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Everyone was almost certain that after the battle with the Dragon Clan, Long Ao would definitely go into hiding. Everyone present had a grave expression on their faces. "Big Brother, what should we do now? What should he do?" Long Di Tian's face was filled with helplessness. If he knew what to do, he wouldn't be sitting here feeling so depressed. He thought for a moment. First Elder, give the order immediately. No matter what, we have to find Longao's whereabouts in the shortest time possible. Patriarch, I have already given the order. Next. No one continued to speak, and the entire hall became quiet. The Long family had issued a kill order, searching everywhere for Longao's whereabouts, causing the entire Sky Martial continent to be in a state of turmoil. Under such circumstances, no one dared to provoke the Long family and the Dragon Clan. Long family and the Dragon Clan had suffered heavy losses in the War of the Dragon Clan. If nothing unexpected happened, the current Dragon Clan and the Long family could be said to be extremely angry, like an angry tiger. Who would be so bored as to touch the butt of an angry tiger? No one was curious about the anger of the Long family and the Dragon Clan. If the Long family and the Dragon Clan did not make a move, that would be strange. After the battle with the Dragon Clan, everyone admired Longao. On the contrary, everyone looked down on the Long family and the Dragon Clan. As one of the 10 pillars, and even using a taboo power, they were still unable to keep Longao. What did this mean? Even if Longao had the help of his divine soul, just this courage alone, how many people in the world could match up to him? The odds were against him. In the Sky Martial continent, everyone was certain that without the help of the divine soul, with Longao's current situation, it would be difficult for him to face the Long family and the Dragon Clan's pursuit. Humans were like that, especially in the Sky Martial continent. They respected the strong. In the Sky Martial continent, the strong were respected. Sky Martial continent. Sword Sect, in the Great Hall. Jin Tian, Moronguena, and Yi Xian sat together in the Great Hall. The three of them were also in disbelief at Longao's actions. I never thought that Longao would be able to draw out the Dragon Clan's taboo power and successfully leave. Yi Xian sighed, because he knew very well what the Dragon Clan's taboo power meant. If it was them, even if the old ancestor personally came, they would not be able to contend against the taboo power. The taboo power was a power unique to experts at the peak of the martial Tao. Long Tian smiled helplessly and said with emotion, I also never thought that Longao would have such a powerful divine soul in his body. According to my guess, if there are no accidents, the divine soul in Longao's body should be in the Nirvana rebirth realm. Long Tian nodded in agreement and said, Longao's divine soul has already been destroyed by the taboo power. It is already impossible for Longao to be here. As he said that, the three of them raised their heads at the same time and looked outside the Great Hall. The expressions of the three of them were very interesting, because the three of them already knew who had come. It was also because of this that the three of them found it hard to believe that Longao would choose to appear in the Sword Sect at this time. During the battle with the Dragon Clan, the Long family and the Dragon Clan had tried their best to find Longao's whereabouts, swearing to kill him even at the cost of their lives. Everyone thought that Longao would definitely hide in order to avoid the Long family and the Dragon Clan. After all, the divine soul in Longao's body had already been destroyed by the taboo power. How could Longao fight against the Long family and the Dragon Clan with just his strength alone? But what was the result? Not only did Longao not hide, he even appeared in the Sword Sect openly. If the Long family and the Dragon Clan knew about this, they would definitely blame the Sword Sect. Under such circumstances, offending the Long family and the Dragon Clan was a very unwise move. For a Longao, was it worth it to offend the Long family and the Dragon Clan? The three of them looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. On one side was Longao, and on the other side was the Long family and the Dragon Clan. How to choose was really a troublesome matter. If it was before the battle with the Dragon Clan, if they had to choose, Long Tian, and Long Tian would definitely choose the Long family and the Dragon Clan, and not the so-called Longao. Not to mention the three of them, no matter who it was, they would not hesitate to choose the Long family and the Dragon Clan. Both sides were not on the same level. But now, after the battle with the Dragon Clan, Longao's position in the hearts of the three people in the Sword Sect instantly rose. Under such circumstances, the three of them already had an answer in their hearts. Jin Tian smiled and said, Since you're here, come in. The Sword Sect welcomes friends. Chapter 1397. The person who came was none other than Longao. Longao's purpose for coming was clear. He was here for the sword chi space. Looking at the young man who entered the hall naturally, Jin Tian and the other two nodded their heads in admiration. Such courage was rare in the world. Senior Jin Tian, Murong Master, Elder Yi. The three of them nodded their heads in return. If it was in the past, would the three of them do that? There was no doubt about it. The Battle of the Dragon Tribe had a huge impact on the three of them. Following that, the three of them had a 180-degree change in attitude. Longao smiled. Longao, why are you here this time? They were curious. Jin Tian and the other two did not know why Longao had come at this time. Could it be that Longao wanted the sword sect to help him to deal with the Long family and the Dragon Tribe? If that was the case, Jin Tian and the other two would definitely not agree. As though he could guess what the three of them were thinking, Longao sneered in his heart. However, he said, Senior Jin Tian, don't worry. I will settle the grudges between me and the Long family and the Dragon Tribe. So that was it. The three of them heaved a sigh of relief. After the Battle of the Dragon Tribe, although Longao's position in their hearts had skyrocketed, the three of them were unwilling to offend the Long family and the Dragon Tribe for a Longao. Please take a seat. Longao did not stand on ceremony and sat down directly. Longao, we already know about the Battle of the Dragon Tribe. May I know why you are here in the sword sect? He did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Senior Jin Tian, I am here for one important purpose. I need to enter a sword chi space. Sword chi space? To the sword sect, entering a sword chi space was not a difficult task. In the Tianwu continent, the sword sect was the ancestor of swords. Moreover, the sword sect had the strongest sword chi space. The three of them were more or less unwilling. The reason was simple. The sword aura space was listed as a forbidden area by the sword sect. Ordinary people could not enter the sword aura space. In the end, Longao was just an outsider. If he was allowed to enter the sword sect, what would the other disciples of the sword sect think? Longao, forgive us for asking, but what do you want to do by entering the sword chi space? To tell you the truth, since you already know about the great war between the Dragon Clan, you should know that I have the help of a spirit in my body. Jin Tian and the other two nodded. Longao fought the Dragon Clan and the Long family. The Dragon Clan and the Long family did not hesitate to use their taboo power. According to Longao's strength, if he resisted the taboo power, he would die. The biggest reason why Longao was able to escape from the taboo power was because he had the help of his divine soul. The three of them could already imagine just how powerful Longao's soul was. If his divine soul alone could resist the taboo power, it was obvious how powerful his divine soul was. Senior divine soul is not dead and has to enter the sword aura space to recuperate. At this point, Longao did not continue, but the meaning in his words was clear. So that was it. Jin Tian and the other two looked at each other. Agree or not? If it was the Longao of the past, the three of them would have considered whether they would agree or not. However, the current Longao, especially after the great war between the Dragon Clan and the Longao, their attitude towards him had changed drastically. Jin Tian smiled and said generously, Longao, we have no problem with that. There are 3 sword aura spaces. Which one do you want? Hearing that Jin Tian was the same, Longao smiled and was not surprised at all. 3 sword aura spaces. Senior Jin Tian, I won't enter the sword aura space now. I would like to ask if you know the whereabouts of the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein? Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein? Hearing that Longao mentioned the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein, Yi Xian exclaimed. Even Jin Tian and Murong Guena were shocked. Looking at the expressions on the 3 people's faces, Longao's heart was immediately filled with joy. Could the 3 of them know about the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein? Longao, let me ask you now. Why are you looking for the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein? Since things had already come to this point, Longao did not intend to hide anything. He said, to be honest, if I want to save Senior Divine Soul, I can only do it by finding the spiritual vein of heaven and earth and entering the sword chi space. Therefore, I must find the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. So that was it. Murong Guena seemed to want to say something but stopped. This made Longao depressed. Because of this, Longao was almost certain that the three of them knew the whereabouts of the heaven and earth spirit vein. He could not wait because Bai Ling was in a dangerous situation. Although Xiling could temporarily maintain Bai Ling's sword aura origin, the longer the delay, the more unfavorable it would be for Bai Ling. The faster they found the heaven and earth spirit vein, the better it would be for Bai Ling, Senior Jin Tian. Please tell me the whereabouts of the heaven and earth spirit vein. Jin Tian sighed. Jin Tian said helplessly, Longao, even if I tell you the whereabouts of the heaven and earth spirit vein, you won't be able to get it. Even with my strength, I don't stand a chance, let alone you. Hearing Jin Tian's words, Longao's heart sank. Jin Tian's meaning was clear. If an expert like Jin Tian could not get the heaven and earth spirit vein, could he? If it was something else, Longao could choose to give it up. But for the heaven and earth spirit vein, he would not give it up even if he had to go through hell. Bai Ling could sacrifice herself for him. Similarly, he could also sacrifice himself for Bai Ling. No matter how difficult it would be, Longao had already decided that he would get the heaven and earth spirit vein. Senior Jin Tian, please tell me. Looking at the determined face of Longao, the three of them knew Longao's determination. A spiritual soul that was willing to sacrifice herself for Longao. It would not be Longao's character if he gave up easily. Longao, in that case, I will tell you. It seems like you still don't know the origin of the heaven and earth spirit vein. Senior Jin Tian, what is the origin of the heaven and earth spirit vein? Longao was very clear that since Jin Tian said so, the origin of the heaven and earth spirit vein was not simple. Longao's heart was heavy. If he could not get the heaven and earth spirit vein, wouldn't he be harming Bai Ling? Longao, do you know the Wanshou sect? Wanshou sect? Longao nodded. Of course, he was not unfamiliar with the Wanshou sect. The Tin Tripod, the Long family, the Dan Alliance, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wanshou sect, the Heaven and Earth sect, the Five Elements sect, the Wanzhan School, the Sword sect, the Purple Thunder sect, the Profound Heaven sect, and the Wanshou sect were one of the Tin Tripod. The Wanshou sect was very powerful. It could even be ranked in the top 3 of the Tin Tripod. Since Jin Tian said so, could it be that the heaven and earth spirit vein was related to the Wanshou sect? Senior Jin Tian, according to what you said, does it mean that the heaven and earth spirit vein is related to the Wanshou sect? Chapter 1398. He nodded. Jin Tian said, yes, the spiritual vein of heaven and earth is closely related to the Wanshou sect. He was in big trouble. Glancing at Longao, Jin Tian continued, 10,000 years ago, the spiritual vein of heaven and earth descended on the continent, and the Wanshou sect fought for it. In the end, the Wanshou sect ancestor fought for it, and got the spiritual vein of heaven and earth by luck. Longao knew the value of the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. Would the Wanshou sect give him the spiritual vein of heaven and earth? It was almost impossible. Not to mention the Wanshou sect, no one would do such a thing. It was very serious. Longao was determined to get the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. Jin Tian briefly recounted the matter of the heaven and earth spirit vein, including the matter of the 10 cardinal forces competing for the heaven and earth spirit vein 10,000 years ago. Longao's face became even more serious after hearing this. The spiritual vein of heaven and earth was snatched by the Wanshou sect ancestor and placed in the Wanshou mountain range. The Wanshou mountain range was listed as a forbidden area by the Wanshou sect. No one was allowed to enter without permission, or they would be killed. The Wanshou sect relied on the spiritual vein of heaven and earth to develop rapidly. No one knew how far the Wanshou sect had developed. According to Jin Tian, the greatest value of the spiritual vein of heaven and earth was not that it could help a martial artist cultivate faster, but that it could slowly change a martial artist's body. What did that mean? The Wanshou sect was just a fourth-rate force in the beginning. Even with the Wanshou sect ancestor, it was not easy to become one of the 10 forces in 10,000 years. The Wanshou sect ancestor relied on the spiritual vein of heaven and earth and his unique beast-controlling art to achieve his current status and strength. Longao, I hope you can think about it carefully. If you go to the Wan Shou sect rashly and provoke them, the consequences will be very troublesome. The Wan Shou sect was not weaker than the Dragon tribe and the Long family. In fact, they were even stronger. Regarding Jin Tian's intention, how could Longao not know? Even if he knew that there was a mountain of knives and a sea of fire ahead, Longao would still go to the Wan Shou sect without hesitation. Even if there was a narrow escape, it could not stop Longao. For Bai Ling, he was willing to face the world. This was Longao. This was the relationship between Longao and Bai Ling, Senior Jin Tian. I will definitely take over the Myriad Beast sect. They were not surprised at all because Jin Tian and the other two had already guessed that Longao would do this. A madman who dared to wreak havoc on a Long family, how could he be afraid of danger and not dare to go to the Wan Shou sect? Jin Tian and the other two were not optimistic about Longao's chances. If it had been something else, the Wan Shou sect would have given in to Longao's potential. Only the heaven and earth spiritual veins. Back then, the Myriad Beast's ancestor had even sacrificed his lover in order to seize the spirit vein of heaven and earth. It was obvious just how important the spirit vein of heaven and earth was to the Myriad Beasts sect. Longao wanting to obtain the heaven and earth spirit vein was practically a fool's talk. Longao, since that's the case, I wish you success. Before Longao could speak, Jin Tian continued, Longao, don't worry. As long as you can obtain the spirit vein of heaven and earth, the sword sect sword chi space will be open to you at any time. Jin Tian was very generous. No matter what Jin Tian meant, Longao was very grateful because if Jin Tian insisted on not being willing, he would not be able to avoid a big battle. At that time, it was really unknown whether he could successfully enter the sword chi space. Thank you, Senior Jin Tian. Murong Master, Elder Yi. I will take my leave now. Goodbye. After that, Longao got up, turned around and left quickly. In a short while, he had already disappeared from the main hall. There were only 3 people left in the main hall, Jin Tian, Murong Guena, and Yi Xian. Ancestor, what do you think about this? After thinking for a while, Longao's potential is there. We would rather rope him and then provoke him. The divine soul in Longao's body is very powerful. If he can wake up, it may not be a bad thing for us. Whether it was Murong Fengyin or Yi Xian, of course, they knew what the elder ancestor meant. With the help of Longao, they could contain the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family. Ancestor, with Longao's situation, it seems impossible for him to snatch the spirit vein of heaven and earth from the Wan Shou sect. Not to mention Longao, even if the ancestor and the others came in person, they could not do it. In this world, no one could snatch the spirit vein of heaven and earth from the Wan Shou sect unless Tian Dao and the marvelous mathematician came in person. He smiled helplessly. Unless the Wan Shou sect is crazy, it is impossible for Longao to snatch the spirit vein of heaven and earth from the Wan Shou sect. Don't spread what happened today. Murong Guena and Yi Xian nodded. They knew what the ancestor was worried about. The Great War of the Dragon Clan, the grudges between Longao and the Dragon Clan, as well as the Long Clan, had already reached a situation where either you die or I die. I believe that the Long Clan and the Dragon Clan couldn't wait to kill Longao immediately. If the Long family and the Dragon race knew that the Sword Sect and Longao had a close relationship, the enmity would be set. Jin Tian did not have full confidence in Longao, otherwise, he would not have done this. Long family disciples could be seen everywhere on the Martial Heaven continent. Everyone was searching for Longao's whereabouts. Those who did not enter the Long family were the Long family's vassal families and sections. After the battle of the Dragon Clan, almost everyone guessed that Longao must have gone into hiding, and his divine soul had already fallen. Unless Longao's brain was flooded with water, otherwise, how could Longao appear? This point, the Long clan and the Dragon clan had already guessed. Shirpatian, who had been searching for Longao after leaving the Wan Shou sect, was shocked. He had no idea what was going on. Was it true that the Longao had been able to escape with the help of the taboo energy? Shirpatian sighed. A few years ago, when he had seen Longao in the 9 provinces continent, he had been an ant-like existence. As long as he wanted to, He could crush Longao to death at any time. In just a few short years, Longao had grown to such a level. Shirpatian didn't want to believe it. However, Shirpatian greatly admired Longao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let Longao off back then. Longao, I'm looking forward to your cultivation base breaking through to the Nirvana realm. No one knew Shirpotian's true strength. Shirpatian didn't even enter the Earth ranking. However, no one dared to underestimate Shirpotian's strength because everyone knew that Shirpatian disdained to enter the Earth ranking. Shirpotian's true strength had already reached the Nirvana realm. As for which of the 5 realms he had reached, no one knew. Even his second uncle, Shirfeng, didn't know. Yifei, who was first on the Earth ranking, was like a child in front of Shirpatian. Otherwise, Shirpatian would be first on the Earth ranking. Chapter 1399. The Phoenix Clan. Inside a secret room. Ing-er, do you still hate me? Looking at Lu Ying in front of him, Lu Yi was helpless. As the clan leader of the Phoenix Clan, Lu Yi could transform into a human with his powerful strength. Lu Ying's father, Lu Yi, was the clan leader of the Phoenix Clan. He was also a powerful phoenix. As for Lu Ying's mother, she was a beautiful human woman. I don't hate you. You didn't kill Aotion back then. I know you did it on purpose. Lu Ying was not stupid. With the strength of the Phoenix Clan back then, killing Aotion would have been a piece of cake. Even so, she still could not accept it. It was because of her father and her clan that she was separated from the person she loved for more than 20 years. She sighed deeply. Lu Yi knew very well that what happened back then could not be resolved in a short time. He did not continue to dwell on this issue. Ing-er, I believe you already know about Longao. Remember, do not let Aoshue know about this. Otherwise, with Aoshue's personality, she will definitely leave the clan. Lu Ying's face was a little strange when she mentioned Longao. Her future son-in-law was a little too wild. Not only did he cause trouble in the Martial Artists Alliance, but he also caused trouble in the Long family. In the end, he drew out the forbidden power and left successfully. Even now, Lu Ying seemed to be in disbelief. She nodded. Aoshue will not know about this. How could Lu Ying not understand her father's intentions? With the relationship between Aoshue and Longao, Aoshue would definitely leave the Phoenix Clan if she knew about the war between the Dragon Clan. Although Aoshue was strong now, it was suicidal to fight against the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family. Not to mention Aoshue, even the other clans would not dare to offend the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family. Have you figured out Aoshue's situation? Thinking about her daughter's current situation, Lu Ying's face was filled with helplessness and worry. Because it had been more than a year since Aoshue was pregnant. Under normal circumstances, Aoshue should have given birth long ago, but what happened in the end? There was still no movement. Such a situation was unprecedented, whether it was in the Phoenix Clan or in the human world. Ing-er, I believe you should be very clear about Aoshue's situation. Aoshue has a pure Yin body that is rarely seen in 10,000 years. Once she awakens her bloodline, I believe her strength will increase greatly. At that time, Aoshue will be the next leader of the Phoenix Clan. Lu Ying did not say anything. She didn't care if her daughter could become the patriarch of the Phoenix Clan. The only thing she cared about was her daughter's health. He seemed to be able to guess what his daughter was thinking. I will discuss this matter with the elders. Without saying anything else, Lu Ying turned around and left. Inside the secret chamber, only Lu Yi was left. Under the dim light, Lu Ye's face was full of vicissitudes and guilt. Ing-er, your father is the clan leader of the Phoenix Clan. I don't want to hurt you. With a heavy sigh, Lu Ye's figure disappeared from the secret chamber. Inside the cave, Aoshue was quietly cultivating on top of the huge white lotus. Mother, you're here. Sensing the aura outside, Aoshue slowly opened her eyes. She touched her stomach and a smile appeared on her face. A mother's smile for her child. Seeing the smile on her daughter's face, Lu Ying's heart ached. Forcing a smile, Lu Ying knew very well that she had to hide Longao's matter. Once Aoshue knew about it, she was afraid that with Aoshue's character and temper, she would definitely choose to leave the Phoenix Clan. Not to mention whether Aoshue's strength could compete with the Martial Artists Alliance and a Long family. the Phoenix clan alone would not allow Aoshue to leave. The current Aoshue was simply a loss for the Phoenix clan. Aoshue, how do you feel? Luing tried her best to act natural so that her daughter would not see through her. I feel okay, but my child is still not born. Mother, according to the Phoenix clan, my situation is due to my body's constitution. Nodding, Luing smiled and said, your grandfather and the other elders are thinking of a solution. There will be a result soon. Aoshue, work hard in your cultivation. Your grandfather has already said that as long as you can reach Nirvana rebirth, you can become the clan leader. Clan leader? Aoshue did not care about the so-called clan leader. She only cared about two people. One was Longao, and the other was her child. Without waiting for Luing to speak, Aoshue said, Mother, my cultivation has successfully broken through to the supreme divine realm, but there is still a large distance to the Nirvana realm. If it was in the past, even with my special constitution, my cultivation speed would not be so fast. But since I have a child, my cultivation speed has obviously increased by many times. Of course, Luing knew that. Tianwu continent, Wanshou sect. As one of the 10 factions, there was no need to say much about the Wanshou sect's strength and foundation. Most importantly, the Wanshou sect dominated the heaven and earth spirit veins. As time passed, the Wanshou sect would definitely become the leader of the 10 factions. Longao did not openly go to the Wanshou sect. At this time, the Long family and the dragon race would definitely want to tear him apart. If he chose to appear at this time and was discovered by the Long family and the dragon race, it would not benefit him at all. Brother Long, long time no see. I trust you have been well since we last met. I really did not expect that in just a few short years, you would have grown to such a level. After the battle between the Martial Artists Alliance and the dragon race, your name has already shaken the world. Sherpatian, who had just returned, was a bit surprised to see Longao. He had not expected that Longao would take the initiative to come. It was precisely because of this that he was very curious. He did not know why Longao had come to the Wanshou sect at this time. Brother Sher, I have come this time because I have a request. Inside, he was even more surprised. What request did Longao have? Brother Long, come with me. Sherpatian did not ask because his father was looking for Longao. The reason was very simple. When the ancient battlefield had opened, all the people who had entered had died. Only Longao and Yifei had come out alive. If there was nothing fishy about this, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. Wanshou sect, main hall. Shichong and Shifeng were both present. They looked at Longao in front of them with admiration. Someone who could make the Martial Arts Alliance and the Long family run amok wasn't simple, especially during the battle of the dragon race. Longao was able to withstand the taboo power and stand there unscathed. Shichong and Shifeng knew that they couldn't do it. Senior Shichong, please sit. May I know why you have come to my Wanshou sect? Shichong did not directly ask about the ancient battlefield. Chapter 1400. Straight to the point. Longao didn't waste any time. Master Shi, to tell you the truth, I'm here for the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein. Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein? Hearing Longao mention the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein, Shichong and the other two looked at each other in surprise. The Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein was the treasure of the Wanshou sect. How could Longao not know about it? Longao, forgive me for asking, but why do you want the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein? Since things had already come to this point, Longao did not hide it anymore. He briefly explained Bai Ling's situation. However, he concealed Bai Ling's identity and only said that she was a spiritual soul. After listening, the three finally understood what was going on. Shifeng sneered. He said with contempt, Longao, aren't you too arrogant? Don't you think you're looking down on the Wanshou sect? Shifeng was Shichong's younger brother and Shirpotian's second uncle. It could be said that Shifeng was the second in command of the Wanshou sect, not only because of his identity, but also because of his strength. Even if he wasn't as good as Shichong, he was close. He didn't care at all. Longao kept warning himself in his heart that he must be calm. No matter what, he came to the Wanshou sect for the Heaven and Earth Spirit Vein, not to start a feud with the Wanshou sect. Master Shi, Longao, will remember this favor and repay it in the future. He was determined to get it. For the sake of Bai Ling, everything was meaningless. Shi Chong smiled helplessly and said, Longao, since you want the heaven and earth spirit vein, I believe you already know what it means to the Wanshou sect. Longao nodded. How could he not know? In that case, do you think I'll agree? Shi Feng wasn't surprised at all. Before coming, Longao had already guessed that the Wanshou sect wouldn't agree. In order to get the heaven and earth spirit vein, the Wanshou sect's ancestor sacrificed his lover, so one could imagine what the heaven and earth spirit vein meant to the Wanshou sect. Even so, Longao was still determined to do it. If he had no other choice, he wouldn't hesitate to fall out with the Wanshou sect. Brother Long, let's put this matter aside for now. I have something to ask you. Nodding his head, Longao said politely, Brother Shi, please go ahead. Shi Patian looked at Shi Chong in front of him and said, Longao, when you entered the primordial battlefield previously, I wanted to know why no one else came out except for you and Yi Fei. So that was the case. Longao did not want to meddle in other people's business. As for whether Tong Zun and Long Tian had obtained the origin energy, it was none of his business. The current Longao only wanted to obtain the heaven and earth spirit vein. He shrugged helplessly. Brother Shi, to tell you the truth, we were hunted down by the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family before we entered the primordial battlefield. I don't know if the others made it out alive. The three of them chose to believe Longao's words and nodded. Brother Long, if that's the case, forgive me for being blunt. I can't give you the heaven and earth spirit vein. However, since you're here, you should stay for a while. It might be of great help to your cultivation. Cultivation? Under such circumstances, would Longao still care about whether his cultivation could be improved? Again, the heaven and earth spirit vein was the most important thing to Longao. Anything else, including the chance to reach the peak of the Nirvana realm, was nothing in Longao's eyes. Longao didn't continue because he knew that the heaven and earth spirit vein was the most precious treasure of the Wanshou sect. It couldn't be given to him casually. However, Longao didn't choose to give up. He smiled and said, Then I'll have to bother you. Haha, good. Patian, show Longao around. Yes, father. Brother Long, please. Brother Shi, please. Longao followed Shi Patian out of the hall. He wanted to find an opportunity to get the heaven and earth spirit vein. Longao had already made up his mind. If the Wanshou sect didn't want to give it to him, he would take the risk, even if it would cost him his life. Only Shi Chong and Shi Feng were left in the hall. The two of them didn't get along well. It was a well-known fact in the Wanshou sect. Big brother, Longao is overestimating himself. He wants to take our heaven and earth spirit vein. How ridiculous. Shi Feng shook his head. Shi Chong wasn't so optimistic. He said helplessly, If it were someone else, I wouldn't be worried at all. Only this Longao dared to fight against the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family. I'm afraid that Longao will use force to get the divine soul. Shi Chong was full of confidence. Not to mention ordinary people. Even the 10 tripod powers wouldn't dare to come and ask for the heaven and earth spirit vein. However, Shi Feng didn't take Longao seriously. In his eyes, Longao was just an insignificant divine warrior. The reason why the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family couldn't kill Longao was because the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family were incompetent. The Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family couldn't kill Longao, but that didn't mean the Wanshou sect couldn't. With a contemptuous smile, Shi Feng said, Big brother, you're worrying too much. In my opinion, since Longao is here, then we'll leave this person behind and give him to the Long clan. No, Shi Chong rejected without even thinking. Before Shi Feng could say anything else, Shi Chong said, Without my order, no one is allowed to hurt Longao. Second brother, don't go too far. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. As soon as he finished speaking, Shi Chong's figure disappeared from the hall. Shi Feng coldly sat in the same place, looking at the spot where Shi Chong had disappeared and snorted. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. Shi Chong, I will let you know that I am the real Wanshou sect's patriarch, and you are nothing. Shi Feng's figure also disappeared from the hall. In a secret room, the dim light gave people a very uncomfortable feeling. Patriarch. Shi Feng's people secretly called Shi Feng Patriarch. If the other members of the Wanshou sect knew about this, they would be courting death. Shi Liang, go and provoke Longao. If he dares to do anything, kill him. Longao? Shi Liang, a divine emperor who could control divine beasts, had a high status in the Wanshou sect. Most importantly, Shi Liang was Shi Feng's man. Shi Liang, of course, had heard of Longao, but he didn't know that Longao had joined the Wanshou sect. Even so, why did the Patriarch want to deal with Longao? Could it be that there was a grudge between the Patriarch and Longao? As if he could see through Shi Liang's guess, before Shi Liang could answer, Shi Feng continued, Big Brother wants to help Longao, but I want to kill Longao. So that's how it was. Shi Liang, of course, knew about the grudge between Shi Feng and Shi Chong. If that was the case, everything was clear. Shi Liang nodded and said, Patriarch, don't worry, I know what to do. Everyone in the Wanshou sect was incomparably arrogant. They didn't care about Longao's legend. Longao, this is the Wanshou sect, not the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family. You don't have the right to behave atrociously here. Shi Liang sneered and continued, If you don't give me an explanation today, humph. Shi Liang's meaning was already very clear. Whether it was Longao or the surrounding people, they had already clearly seen that Shi Liang was looking for trouble. Longao was a little confused. It was his first time entering the Wanshou sect. It was impossible for him to have enemies. If that was the case, why was this so-called Shi Liang looking for trouble? Was it Shi Chong? Or Shi Feng? Or Shi Patian? Longao's face gradually turned cold. Longao didn't want to cause trouble in the Wanshou sect. He only had one goal, and that was to get the spirit vein of heaven and earth. But Longao wasn't afraid of trouble. If people didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If people wanted to offend him, he would offend them. This was Longao's motto. So what if he was a protector? So what if it was the Wanshou sect? Why should I give you an explanation? Who do you think you are? Ridiculous. Shi Liang, I can tell you now, if you want to cause trouble, you should look at your own moral integrity. Be careful of trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Arrogant. Longao's arrogance was to the extreme. Shi Liang was not used to it because the calmer Longao was, the more uncertain he was. Courting death, Shi Liang was looking for trouble. His goal was to kill Longao. Therefore, no matter what Longao did, Shi Liang would attack. The surrounding people were watching a good show. In this battle, many people were optimistic about Shi Liang because they already knew that Longao didn't have the help of his divine soul. According to the difference in strength between the two, could Longao defeat Shi Liang? One was a heavenly god while the other was a divine emperor. The gap between the two was very big. They were not on the same level. Before Shi Liang could attack, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. With the help of teleportation, in the next second, Longao's figure appeared in front of Shi Liang. Without giving Shi Liang any chance to react, the sound of slapping resounded. Endless slaps. In just a few seconds, Longao had ruthlessly slapped Shi Liang more than a dozen times. This slap was not a big deal, but it completely scared the surrounding people. Longao's speed was too fast. They didn't even have time to react. Was this real? After slapping Shi Liang, Longao's figure disappeared again. If this was not the Wanshou sect, Shi Liang would have already been defeated. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for Longao to be a match for a divine emperor. However, from the beginning to the end, Shi Liang had underestimated Longao. His carelessness had led to his death. In the end, Shi Liang was lucky. If Longao didn't want to obtain the heaven and earth spiritual vein, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Longao, don't you dare. Without waiting for Shi Liang to finish his words, Longao sneered and said, I just said that it's best to be self-aware. Even if you want to cause trouble, you should see if you have the strength to do so. It's best if you don't provoke me, otherwise, you will regret being born in this world. If Longao had said these words a moment ago, perhaps no one would have taken him seriously. Moreover, they would have looked down on Longao. But now, Longao silently slapped Shirleyang's face a few times. Not to mention strength, Longao had already won in terms of speed. However, everyone knew that Shirleyang had suffered a great loss, and it was impossible for him to give up. Longao, you are courting death. Of course, Shirleyang knew that Longao's speed was terrifying. In the next second, he didn't know how Shirleyang did it, but 3 ferocious tigers suddenly appeared around him. Their entire bodies were pure white. Just from their auras, Longao already knew that the cultivation of the 3 tigers had already reached the Divine King realm. I want to see how you can leave. The 3 tigers' speed was no small matter. Coupled with Shirleyang's strength, everyone was already gnashing their teeth. They were certain that Longao would die without a doubt. After all, the difference in strength between the 2 sides was too great. They weren't even on the same level. However, Longao was unusually calm. Chapter 1402. Longao's cultivation had already successfully broken through to the celestial god realm. He was just 1 step away from officially advancing to the supreme divine realm. Longao's speed had already soared to the extreme with the help of spatial teleportation. The 3 lightning tigers surrounded Longao like 3 bolts of lightning. The lightning tiger's speed was incomparably fast, but compared to Longao, it was still somewhat slow. Shock. No one had thought that Longao's speed was actually so fast. If not for seeing it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. Shirleyang's face became more and more gloomy. If he lost this battle, putting aside the matter of face, Shirfeng would not let him off. It was precisely so. This battle, he absolutely could not lose. Supreme Divine Territory, when one's cultivation broke through to the Divine Emperor realm, one could condense a second-level Supreme Divine Territory. Supreme Divine Tao was divided into 5 realms. In order of strength from low to high, it was Divine King Realm, Divine Emperor Realm, Hierarch Realm, and Divine Emperor Realm. Supreme Divine Territory corresponded to Supreme Divine Tao, similarly divided into 5 realms. In order of power from low to high, it was first-level Supreme Divine Territory, second-level Supreme Divine Territory, third-level Supreme Divine Territory, and fourth-level Supreme Divine Territory. Shirleyang's cultivation broke through to the Divine Emperor realm, and what he possessed was second-level Supreme Divine Territory. Celestial God Territory and Supreme Divine Territory were simply 2 different levels of existence. The gap was huge. However, Longao's Celestial God Territory could ignore the suppression of Supreme Divine Territory. Black God Territory could even suppress Supreme Divine Territory. What kind of concept was this? As the saying went, once an expert made a move, one would know whether or not he was a real expert. Discovering that his God Territory could not suppress the other party, Shirleyang looked as if he had seen a ghost, his face in disbelief. Fighting 1 against 4, Longao still gradually felt unable to hold on. Longao was very clear in his heart that if this situation continued, he would undoubtedly lose. Innate remarkable ability, Dragon Roar. At the same time, the 3 lightning tigers, including Shirleyang, discovered that the flow of space around them had changed. Their bodies seemed to be forcibly locked. Long Family's innate remarkable ability. 1 man and 3 beasts did not dare to have the slightest carelessness. They immediately joined forces and forcibly broke the lock of Dragon Roar. The difference between their realms was too great, and Longao didn't even have a chance. With no other choice, Longao could only use the Destruction Seal. Even so, Longao was still unable to withstand the combined attacks of 1 man and 3 beasts. Just by relying on the so-called teleportation, there was no need to even think about the outcome of this battle. With a flip, Longao fiercely punched out. Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal slashes. The Emperor Dragon's 9 fatal slashes was not a very powerful martial skill. It could not even be considered a divine skill. However, under these circumstances, Longao still used the so-called Emperor Dragon 9 fatal slashes. The Emperor Dragon's 9 slaughter had a total of 9 moves. They were the Emperor Dragon's Furious Waves, Emperor Dragon's Heaven Burial, Emperor Dragon's Strangulation, Emperor Dragon's Domineering Aura, Emperor Dragon's Collapse, Emperor Dragon's Meteor Explosion, Emperor Dragon's Heart Devour, Emperor Dragon's Devour, and Emperor Dragon's Destruction of the Heavens. One punch after another, the punches never stopped. It was like a stormy sea, continuous and unending. The sounds of ridicule from the surroundings had already disappeared as the battle continued to escalate. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared at the battle in front of them, because no one could imagine that Longao, who was only a heavenly god, was actually so powerful without the help of divine soul. When did a heavenly god become so powerful? In the battle between Shiliang and Longao, everyone still hoped that Shiliang would win. After all, Longao was an outsider, and Shiliang was one of them. At the beginning, one man and three beasts were indeed forced to retreat by Longao's Emperor Dragon 9 fatal slashes. However, a divine emperor was still a divine emperor. In just a few seconds, one man and three beasts had already reacted. Ha ha ha, Longao, you're only a It's really better to meet you in person than to hear about you. As the battle continued, Shiliang was almost certain that without the help of divine soul, Longao's strength was not worth mentioning except for his speed. His confidence multiplied. Kill. At the order, the three lightning tigers' attack power instantly increased. If it was an ordinary heavenly god, he would have died long ago. With no other choice, Longao finally used the sword art. This time, he did not use the god-killing chant, but the so-called incomplete sword art. Back then, Longao had obtained the incomplete sword art. Even Xiling and Bai Ling were full of praise for it. It was just that Longao had never had the chance to practice it. The incomplete sword art was already very powerful even though it was just an incomplete sword art. Sword chi crisscrossed. Longao used his finger as a sword. Sword chi shot out like a sword net, instantly enveloping one man and three beasts. In the end, Longao was still no match for one man and three beasts. The reason was very simple. The gap in cultivation level could not be made up by other things. Unless it was a last resort, Longao would never use the reincarnation doppelganger. Longao was full of confidence. With the reincarnation doppelganger's current strength, once he used the silence bow, he could definitely kill one man and three beasts. However, in the Wanshou sect, he did not want to expose the secret of the reincarnation doppelganger. Time rewind, time advance. With the gap in strength between himself and his opponent, Longao did not dare to use the time kill technique at all. After all, the possibility of backlash was very high. However, the battle had already reached this stage. Longao did not care about anything else. If Longao had used the time kill technique at the beginning, the success rate would have been less than 20%. However, now, Shiliang had let down his guard. Carelessness killed him. That was exactly the case. Shiliang found that his speed had more than halved, while Longao's speed had doubled. What was going on? Not daring to be the slightest bit careless, Shiliang used all his strength to forcibly break through the suppression. However, would Longao give him the chance to do so? With the help of the space teleportation, Longao's speed was faster than lightning. In a flash, he arrived in front of Shiliang and directly used the firmament-devouring secret art. A huge black vortex appeared behind him and started to crazily devour one man and three beasts. What is Longao doing? Who knows? However, no one knows who will win or lose this battle. Everyone thought that Longao would definitely die in this battle. However, they did not expect that the situation would change. Longao's speed had increased to such an extent that he was able to defeat Shiliang in a 1 versus 4 situation. It was simply unbelievable. Looking at this battle, in fact, everyone had already understood that Shiliang had lost and Longao had won. Even if they did not want to admit it, the facts were already in front of them. They had no choice but to believe it. Without a doubt, this battle was very exciting. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, who would have thought that a puny heavenly god realm expert could defeat a divine emperor expert? Moreover, he had defeated the 3 lightning tigers. Unbelievable. This battle could only be described with one word. Unbelievable. Counterattack. Chapter 1403. Longao's main purpose of entering the Wanshou sect was to obtain the heaven and earth spiritual vein. Because of this, Longao did not want to cause any trouble. Shi Liang had been trying to kill him, but Longao had endured it, not wanting to make the relationship with the Wanshou sect too tense. But what was the result? Longao used his time sure kill skill to lock onto one person and 3 beasts. Then he started to use the firmament devouring art. Longao, you're too presumptuous. An angry roar. Immediately after, Shi Feng's figure quickly approached. At first, it was just a black dot, but in the blink of an eye, it had expanded. Shi Feng's speed was too fast. If it was under normal circumstances, even if Shi Feng came personally, Longao would not give up. If people did not offend him, he would not offend them. If people wanted to offend him, he would definitely offend them. However, the situation was a little special now. For Bai Ling, for the heaven and earth spiritual vein, Longao finally chose to give up. The black hole behind him disappeared, and Longao also stopped devouring. He took 10 steps back and coldly looked at Shi Liang in front of him. Shi Liang had just walked into the palace of the King of Hell. Until now, he still had some lingering fear. If Shi Feng had not appeared in time, he would have been killed by Shi Liang. Longao, you. He sneered. Longao said contemptuously, Shi Liang, you should know that you're not alive because of you. Get lost, next time. No one will be able to save you. Humph. Hearing Longao's words, Shi Feng heavily snorted, his face ugly. Shi Feng also did not expect that Shi Liang would be defeated by Longao. After all, Shi Liang was a divine emperor and had the help of 3 lightning tigers. Killing Longao should be a sure thing. But the result? Not only did Shi Liang fail to kill Longao, he was almost killed by Longao. If Shi Feng had not arrived in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Another reason why Shi Feng was angry was that if Shi Liang was really killed by Longao, then he would lose face. Longao, you're being too presumptuous. Impudent? When have I been impudent? Hearing Longao's rhetorical question, everyone was stunned. Nobody had thought that Longao would dare to speak to Shi Feng in such a manner. He was simply courting death. Shi Feng, Patriarch Shi Chang's second brother, Shi Poshan's second uncle, the second in command of the Wanshou sect, whether it was in terms of status or strength, he was far above the rest. Who would dare to talk to Shi Feng like that? Ha ha ha, Longao. Have you forgotten that this is the Wanshou sect, not the so-called world of the 9 continents? Shi Feng was obviously looking for trouble. Whether it was Longao or the others around, they all saw it clearly. Longao was very curious. He did not know why Shi Feng would seek trouble with him for no reason. She didn't seem to know Shi Feng before this. I know that this is the Wanshou sect and not the world of the 9 continents. You don't need to remind me, Longao said. Although he did not want to look for trouble, he was never afraid of others looking for trouble, even if the other party was Shi Feng. Shi Liang, what is going on here? Shi Liang's heart was filled with endless anger after nearly being killed by Longao. He wanted nothing more than to tear Longao into pieces. Second Master, I was just asking Longao why none of our Wanshou sect's disciples came out after entering the ancient battlefield. Who would have thought that Longao would turn around and accuse me? He is incomparably arrogant and does not even put me in his eyes. Longao looked coldly at Shi Liang and did not say anything. Longao was very clear that Shi Liang and Shi Feng were looking for trouble with him. Since that was the case, the more he said, the more mistakes he would make. No matter what he said, it would be wrong to believe. Longao's only suspicion was that Shi Chong and Shi Patian did not know that Shi Feng and Shi Liang were looking for trouble with him. After all, these were 2 different concepts. After thinking for a long time, in the end, Longao concluded that Shi Feng and Shi Liang were looking for trouble with him. If there was no accident, Shi Chong and Shi Patian did not even know about it. Otherwise, there was no need for them to act like this. If that was really the case, then he could have directly refused or directly attacked the Wanshou sect. There was no need to make things so troublesome. Longao, it seems like you do not put our Wanshou sect in your eyes. Shameless. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such shameless people. Shi Feng and Shi Liang were simply shameless to the extreme. Shi Liang, Shi Feng, I do not want to waste time with you. You better leave, otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Longao's arrogance made everyone a little dumbfounded. Even if Longao could defeat Shi Liang in front of Shi Feng, could Longao counterattack? It was almost impossible. However, Shi Liang was just a divine emperor, while Shi Feng was a genuine Nirvana realm martial artist. There were even rumors that Shi Feng's cultivation had already broken through the Nirvana realm, and he was only one step away from the so-called Nirvana rebirth. The 5 Nirvana realms, from lowest to highest, were Heaven and Earth realm, unity of heaven and man, universe cycle reproduction, Nirvana realm, and rebirth. Long Tian, Tong Zun, Jin Tian, Wan Shou ancestor, 5 elements ancestor, and the others' cultivation had all broken through the Nirvana rebirth realm. Once they obtained the so-called origin energy, if there were no accidents, they would be able to break through the so-called martial Dao peak realm within 10 years. That was right. Longao dared to provoke Shi Feng. In the eyes of the surrounding people, he was courting death. Longao, who do you think you are? You don't put our second master in your eyes? This is ridiculous, second master. Longao provoked the Wan Shou sect. If we do not kill him, where will the Wan Shou sect's face go? In truth, what Shi Liang wanted to say was that if they didn't kill Longao, where would the second master's face go? Shi Feng didn't say anything. He just coldly stared at Longao. Suddenly, Shi Feng laughed. Longao, I'll give you a chance. As long as you tell me about the primordial battlefield and hand over your spatial divine item, this matter will end here. How about it? Spatial divine item. Practically everyone in the martial heaven continent knew that Longao possessed a powerful divine item. Even Shi Feng was no exception. He wanted Longao's spatial divine item. The reason why Longao was able to counterattack time and time again, other than having the help of a powerful divine soul, the more important thing was the spatial divine tool in Longao's hands. Especially just now, when Longao was fighting against Shi Liang, that kind of powerful speed. If it was just Longao alone, was it possible? Hearing that Shi Feng wanted his spatial divine item, Longao was speechless. That was because he didn't have a spatial divine item himself. All he could do was teleport. As for the space-time wheel, Longao was very clear that the spatial divine item Shi Feng wanted wasn't the space-time wheel, but the so-called teleportation. Could he really give him the teleportation? Shi Feng, I want to ask you, are you representing yourself or the Wan Shou sect in this matter? Or perhaps, does Master Wan know about today's matter? In truth, Longao already had an answer in his heart. He was just intentionally asking. Chapter 1404. Longao, you should know who I am. I don't know. Longao's arrogance made Shi Feng feel a little uncomfortable. The calmer Longao was, the more uncertain Shi Feng felt. Longao. Without waiting for Shi Liang to speak, Longao's body directly released a terrifying killing intent, bringing along a powerful aura of heaven and earth. It was the unique aura of a Nirvana realm warrior. Shi Feng was shocked. Because Shi Feng and Shi Liang never thought that Longao could release the chi of heaven and earth. Moreover, Shi Liang never thought that Longao would dare to attack Shi Feng in front of him. Because of his carelessness, Shi Liang was directly suppressed by the chi of heaven and earth and fell to the ground, looking very embarrassed. Presumptuous. Shi Feng was furious and also released the chi of heaven and earth to suppress Longao. But before he could suppress it, Longao's chi of heaven and earth disappeared without a trace. Then, Longao's voice came. Shi Liang, from now on, you'd better shut up, or I won't let you see tomorrow's sun. Before Shi Liang could speak, Longao continued, if you don't believe me, you can try. Ignored. Longao's arrogance completely ignored Shi Feng's existence. How could Shi Feng not be angry? Longao, it seems like you're really not afraid of death. If he was alone, Shi Liang wouldn't dare to talk nonsense. After all, he had just been defeated by Longao. If it wasn't for the second master's timely arrival, he believed that he would have died. But now, the second master was standing beside him. If he was still afraid in this situation, how could he survive in the Wan Shou sect in the future? Thinking of this, Shi Liang smiled disapprovingly and said, Longao. I'm standing right here. Today I want to see how you're going to make me unable to see tomorrow's sun. Shi Liang didn't believe it at all. The second master was standing beside him. If Longao really attacked, he didn't believe that Longao could defeat the second master. If Longao could really defeat the second master, then even if he was killed, there was nothing to say. Not to mention Shi Liang. Even the people around them didn't believe it. Longao was just a divine realm warrior. Shi Feng was a nirvana realm warrior. The gap between the two was like an insurmountable gap. If Longao could kill Shi Liang in front of Shi Feng, where would Shi Feng put his face? Even Shi Feng was very interested because he also wanted to see if Longao would make a move based on what he said just now. But in the next second, didn't give everyone any chance to react. Since the beginning, no one had expected Longao to actually make a move. Forcefully making a move was akin to courting death. Longao was Longao. Even if the Shi Feng in front of him was a genuine Nirvana realm martial artist, he still ignored him. Longao had just said that if Shi Liang continued to talk nonsense, he wouldn't let him see tomorrow's sun. Shi Liang's body was swallowed up by the light of the annihilation bow. In an instant, he disappeared without a trace. After dealing with Shi Liang, the reincarnation doppelganger disappeared and took a blow for Longao before returning to his Dantian. Longao. At this point, Shi Feng was at a loss for words. Shi Liang had been killed right under his nose, and everyone around him had seen it with their own eyes. Even at this moment, Shi Feng still found it hard to believe. Was this real? Longao was just a small martial artist of the Supreme Tao. Longao, you must die today. Shi Liang was killed. Shi Feng was very clear that if he didn't kill Longao, he would be treated as a joke. Especially in the Wanshou sect, his reputation would be damaged, and it could be big or small. Longao had already made his preparations. At worst, he would just enter the Dragon Seal space. He was well aware of his own strength. It was impossible for him to fight against Shi Feng. Rather than wasting time and having a slim chance of survival, he might as well take a step back. This time, he came mainly for one purpose, and that was to obtain the heaven and earth spiritual vein. At this moment, Chapter 1405. Second brother, that's enough. Shi Chong and Shi Patian appeared as soon as he finished his words. Greetings, sect master. When everyone saw that the sect master had arrived personally, they all bowed respectfully and greeted him. Shi Chong waved his hand and said, Second brother, have you forgotten what I said before? Shi Chong's face was gloomy. The more it was like this, the more certain Longao was that Shi Chong and Shi Patian had no idea that Shi Feng was targeting him this time. Big brother, Longao is too presumptuous. He killed Shi Liang in front of me. If we don't give the sect an explanation, how can we keep our face? He felt helpless. When Shi Chong and Shi Patian arrived, Longao had already killed Shi Liang. This was something that they had never expected. The two of them were very curious. How did Longao do it? One should know. Longao was only in the celestial deity realm, but this second brother of his was a genuine Nirvana realm martial artist. Since that was the case, Longao was actually able to kill Shi Liang right under his second brother's nose. They didn't see Longao using his reincarnation avatar. Longao couldn't do it with his own strength. Longao, I want to know what happened just now. Shi Chong was obviously biased towards him. Longao could feel it clearly. Longao didn't hide anything. He told Shi Chong everything that had happened. No matter what, he didn't want to get into trouble. Otherwise, it would be more difficult to get the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. Shi Chen's face turned ghastly pale after listening to Shi Chong. Shi Chong wasn't a fool. He knew that his second brother didn't do it against Longao, but against him. He didn't want to admit defeat. Second brother, it's obviously Shi Liang's fault. He can't blame anyone for his death. Everyone was dumbfounded by the sect master's words. They had guessed that the sect master was obviously biased towards Longao. Was it worth sacrificing Shi Liang for an outsider? Big brother, you're siding with Longao by doing this. I'd like to ask you, as the Wanshou sect's patriarch, do you have any regard for the Wanshou sect? As the sect master, The first thing he had to think about was the sect, not outsiders. The surrounding people began to discuss spiritedly because everyone felt uncomfortable. After all, Longao was just an outsider. However, aside from Shifeng, no one dared to speak up. Although he was angry, he didn't dare to say anything. Chang's status was obvious. Second brother, I believe you know the situation better than I do. Don't tell me you want to make a distinction? He sneered in his heart. How could Shifeng miss out on such a rare opportunity? Although Shifeng and Chang were biological brothers, the two of them had always been fighting both openly and covertly. The biggest reason was that Shifeng wanted to seize power and become the Wanshou sect's patriarch. Shifeng had always been unwilling to accept the fact that his father had passed the position of Wanshou sect's patriarch to his older brother, but not to him. He was still brooding. Second uncle, I also want to ask you, in the Wanshou sect, are you or my father the patriarch? How dare you talk to the patriarch like that? You're simply too presumptuous. Shifeng was very angry because his father was the Wanshou sect's patriarch. Who would dare to talk to his father like that? Ignoring Shifeng, sneered and said, Big brother, I thought you weren't the Wanshou sect's patriarch. I thought you weren't the Wanshou sect's patriarch. How disgraceful. Enough. As soon as Chang's cold voice came out, all the discussions in the surrounding area disappeared without a trace. Chang was the Wanshou sect's patriarch. No matter how strong Shifeng was, he couldn't compete with Chang. Everyone knew this clearly. Shifeng, whether I'm qualified to be the Wanshou sect's patriarch is not up to you to decide. This matter ends here. Patian.
Yes.
Accompany Longao around. If anyone dares to mention this matter again, kill them without mercy. Finished speaking, Chang's silhouette disappeared. Chang's attitude was very clear. He was obviously biased towards Longao. Everyone was very unhappy. What did their patriarch mean by doing this? Shifeng's face was full of anger, but his heart wasn't angry at all. On the contrary, he was pleasantly surprised because he had never thought that his big brother would really do this. Longao, I hope you can leave the Wanshou sect alive. Shifeng smiled meaningfully, then left with everyone. Only Longao and Patian were left in the original place. Looking at the gradually disappearing silhouettes, Patian deeply sighed and helplessly said, Brother Long, you were too reckless this time. I believe you can see that second uncle is mainly targeting my father, not you. He nodded his head. How could Longao not know about this? I had no choice. If I didn't do anything, I would have been killed by Liang. I know this. This time, father is biased towards you. If nothing unexpected happens, I believe that second uncle will definitely use this matter to talk about it. Longao, I believe that you should have heard about the matter between second uncle and us. Nodding again, Longao didn't want to meddle in other people's business. His main purpose in coming to the Wanshou sect was to obtain the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. Brother I don't want to ask too much about what happened just now. You should know why I came this time. I want to ask, is it true that I don't have the slightest chance of obtaining the spiritual vein of heaven and earth? This was what Longao was most concerned about. Brother Long, in that case, I won't hide it from you. You don't have the slightest chance. If you want to cultivate on the spiritual vein of heaven and earth, I can arrange it, but if you want to obtain it, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Longao wasn't surprised at all. He had already guessed that such a precious treasure like the spiritual vein of heaven and earth, not to mention the Wanshou sect, no matter who it was, they wouldn't easily take it out. Longao, let me give you a piece of advice. It's best if you don't mess around. Longao didn't say anything else, he just followed Patian around. About an hour later, Longao got up and went back to his residence. It was a secluded courtyard. The environment was quite elegant. Xiling, I want to ask, what does the spiritual vein of heaven and earth look like? This was the most important thing because Longao had already decided that whether the Wanshou sect was willing to hand over the spiritual vein of heaven and earth or not, he was determined to obtain it, even if he had to shed all pretense of cordiality with the Wanshou sect. No matter what happened, he was determined to obtain the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. You wait. Before Long Ao could react, the image of the spiritual vein of heaven and earth appeared in Long Ao's mind. It was about 1 meter long and 3 centimeters wide. It was completely golden and was emitting bursts of light. At first glance, it was obvious that it was extraordinary. P.S. Today's 3 chapters, tomorrow on the 1st, Xiaoju will explode, starting at midnight. Chapter 1406. Long Ao. I want to remind you that if you want to snatch the heaven and earth spirit vein from the Wanshou sect, I'm afraid it's a bit of a fantasy. How could Long Ao not know Xilinx's worries? I'm determined to get it. These 4 simple words showed Long Ao's determination. It was very gratifying. At the same time, Xiling was also very worried. After thinking about it, Xiling finally said, Long Ao, in the Tianwu continent, in terms of strength, the Wanshou sect is definitely at the top. In the Tianwu continent, there were 10 forces. Long Family, Dan Alliance, Martial Artists Alliance, Wanshou sect, Heaven and Earth sect, 5 Elements sect, Wanzhan School, Sword sect, Purple Thunder sect, and Mysterious Heaven sect. Everyone was very clear that the Wanshou sect's strength was not at the top. However, Long Ao did not doubt Xilinx's words. Was there something fishy? Xiling, what's going on? Among the 10 forces, the Wanshou sect is the most low-key. I believe that most people, even the other 9 forces, do not know the strength of the Wanshou sect. Long Ao did not speak. From Xilinx's words, it seemed that the Wanshou sect was not that simple. Long Ao, the Wanshou sect is very important to the Tianwu continent. Even the godly mathematician and Tian Dao will not easily deal with them. Hearing this, Long Ao was shocked. He was very clear about what Tian Dao and the godly mathematician meant. In the entire Tianwu continent, who could fight against the 2 of them? On the contrary, in the Tianwu continent, who would the godly mathematician and Tian Dao not dare to deal with? Could it be that there was a peak martial artist in the Wanshou sect? If that was the case, then the Wanshou sect was really hiding their strength. As if he could read Long Ao's mind, Xiling shook his head and said, in the Wanshou sect, there is no one at the peak of martial arts. Long Ao was completely confused by Xilinx's words. He couldn't figure it out. Since the Wanshou sect didn't have a master at the peak of martial arts, then who could contend with the divine mathematician and the heavenly Dao? Before Long Ao could speak, Xiling continued, with your current strength, it's useless for you to know the secrets of the Wanshou sect. When you reach the peak of martial arts in the future, you'll naturally know. This sentence again. Every time he heard Xilinx's words, Long Ao felt a deep ache in his balls. There was nothing he could do. Long Ao knew that Xiling was right. He was not strong enough. He directly told Long Ao that the secret of the Myriad Beasts sect was related to the entire martial heaven continent. Just think about it. If the Wanshou sect didn't have a peak martial artist, then Long Ao couldn't imagine why. Even the divine mathematician and the heavenly Dao didn't dare to casually deal with the Wanshou sect. He didn't dwell on this question. What did the secret of the Wanshou sect have to do with him? The heaven and earth spirit vein. He only needed the heaven and earth spirit vein. As for other things, Long Ao directly ignored them. Xiling, what should I do now? No matter what the secret of the Wanshou sect was, Long Ao only knew one thing. With his strength, trying to snatch the heaven and earth spirit vein from the hands of the Wanshou sect was a suicide. Long Ao wasn't afraid of death, but he wouldn't sacrifice himself for nothing. Long Ao, in the past, my sister and I tried to enter the Wanshou sect, but we were stopped by a mysterious master, so we don't know much about the Wanshou sect. He sighed deeply in his heart. Long Ao, Long Fu and I have discussed this during this period of time. I was greedy before. The reason why I let you obtain all the heaven and earth spirit veins was not only to save Bai Ling, but also to use the power of the heaven and earth spirit veins to restore 2/3 of Bai Ling's strength in one fell swoop. Long Ao didn't say anything. Xiling continued, according to Bai Ling's injuries, Long Ao, you only need to let Bai Ling absorb enough qi of the heaven and earth spirit vein, then enter the sword qi space, and I believe that she will wake up. F***ck hearing Xiling's words, Long Ao fiercely cursed in his heart. because obtaining the heaven and earth spirit vein and absorbing the chi of the heaven and earth spirit vein were two completely different concepts. The former had no chance at all, unless the Wanshou sect was crazy, otherwise, not to mention him. Even if other super forces came, they might not be able to do it. But the latter had a much greater chance. Longao didn't continue to speak, and immediately left the small courtyard. Brother Long, why are you here? Shirpatian was very curious to see Longao come to find him, but one must know that they had just separated, less than half an hour ago. Could it be that Longao wanted to talk about the heaven and earth spirit vein again? If it was a few months ago, Shirpatian definitely wouldn't pay attention to Longao. But as the legend of Longao became more and more mysterious, Longao's position in Shirpotian's heart became more and more important. Brother Shir, I have something to ask of you. Please say. As if thinking of something, Shirpatian immediately said, Brother Long, as I said before, the heaven and earth spirit vein is the treasure of our Wanshou sect. No matter who it is, they can't take it away. Forgive me for not being able to help. Longao smiled and said, I already know about this matter. Brother Shir, just now I calmly thought about it and discovered that with my strength, I am still unable to protect myself in this continent. Therefore, I want to borrow the spiritual veins of heaven and earth to cultivate properly. I hope to be able to break through to the supreme divine realm. Hearing Longao's request, Shirpatian smiled and said, So it's about this matter, Brother Long. Don't worry. My father doesn't need to do anything. I can do it. But Brother Long, I must warn you first, don't act recklessly, otherwise, even I won't be able to protect you. How could Longao not understand the meaning of Shirpotian's words? Longao smiled and said, Brother Shir, don't worry. If I act recklessly, not to mention the Wanshou sect, even I will kill myself here. Ha ha ha, just kidding, Brother Long. Come with me. Longao was pleasantly surprised, because he didn't think that Shirpatian would be so straightforward. After all, Shirpatian was his rival in love, and Shirpatian had already said that he liked Yuan very much. Longao didn't hesitate. He was very clear that he had to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to let Bai Ling absorb more qi, then go to the sword sect and enter the sword qi space, hoping that Bai Ling would wake up soon. As soon as the two of them left, Shi Feng's figure quietly appeared. Looking at the two of them gradually disappearing, Shi Feng's mouth slowly curved into a cold smile. He said coldly, If I can devour divine souls, I believe that my strength will surpass Big Brother in one fell swoop. Longao, this time I really have to thank you. As the cold smile disappeared, Shi Feng chased after the two of them. Whether it was Shirpatian or Longao, they would never have thought that Shi Feng would leave with them. Brother Long, the heaven and earth spirit vein is sealed by the Wanshou sect in the Wanshou mountain range. I believe you should know. Chapter 1407. Everyone knew that the heaven and earth spiritual veins were sealed in the Thousand Beast Mountain Range. The Thousand Beast sect was located in the Thousand Beast Mountain Range. Brother Long, our Thousand Beast sect has a forbidden area that ordinary disciples can't enter. Here came the main topic. Brother Shir, where is it? Thousand Beast Cliff. Thousand Beast Cliff? According to Shirpatian, Longao roughly understood the situation of the Thousand Beast Cliff. Thousand Beast Cliff, the forbidden area of the Thousand Beast sect. Ordinary people couldn't enter. Only geniuses like Shirpatian could casually enter to cultivate. Legend. At the bottom of the Thousand Beast Cliff was where the heaven and earth spiritual veins were sealed. Cultivating at the Thousand Beast Cliff was equivalent to cultivating anywhere else. After listening, Longao was pleasantly surprised to the extreme in his heart. Unknowingly, the two had arrived at the Thousand Beast Cliff. At the top of the huge cliff, there was a huge stone tablet with 3 black words on it. It was the so-called Thousand Beast Cliff. Before stepping into the Thousand Beast Cliff, Longao already felt that the heaven and earth spiritual qi here was more than 10 times more abundant than outside. What kind of concept was this? If 2 martial artists with the same talent cultivated at the Cliff of Myriad Beasts, their cultivation speed would be many times faster than when they cultivated outside. Longao, this is all I can help you with. Thank you. I want to ask, how long can I cultivate here? Hearing Long Ao's words, Shirpatian breathed a sigh of relief. Shirpatian was afraid that Long Ao would act recklessly and forcibly snatch the heaven and earth spiritual veins. If that really happened, even if they were unwilling, they would have to kill Long Ao. No one will disturb you for a year. A year was enough. Thank you, Brother Shir. Cultivate well. I'll take my leave first. Saying this, Shirpatian turned and quickly left. In a short while, he had disappeared without a trace. Having successfully arrived at the Thousand Beast Cliff, Long Ao certainly wouldn't miss this opportunity. Stepping into the Thousand Beast Cliff, Long Ao could clearly feel that there were powerful auras on both sides of the cliff. They should be Emperor God level experts. Wansho Cliff, Wansho Sect's forbidden area. Long Ao knew very well that if Shirpatian hadn't personally brought him here, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Cliff of Myriad Beasts unless he forced his way in. If that was the case, things would become very troublesome. The entire Cliff of Myriad Beasts was incomparably huge. On the huge walls, there were many black holes. According to Shirpatian, in order not to affect everyone's cultivation, the Wansho sect had carved out many black holes in the walls. This way, no one's cultivation would be affected. He smiled. If all of them were to cultivate outside, it would really be a troublesome matter. Without any hesitation, Long Ao immediately found a black hole where no one was cultivating. The black hole wasn't too big, but it wasn't too small either. It was like a small independent room. It was difficult for sunlight to shine in from the outside. The entire black hole was very dim, giving people an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Very soon, Long Ao immediately realized that something was wrong. He had only entered the black hole for a few seconds, but he could already feel that the heaven and earth spirit chi inside the black hole was even denser than outside. It seemed that the Wansho sect hadn't carved out these black holes simply to not affect everyone's cultivation. In the Dragon Seal space, I've already entered the Cliff of Myriad Beasts and am closest to the heaven and earth spirit vein. What should I do next? Xiling seemed to be very excited. He eagerly said, Long Ao, Bai Ling's situation is very bad now. She can't absorb it alone, so she needs your help. Say it. Later, use the firmament devouring skill to help Bai Ling absorb the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein. No problem. Long Ao immediately did as he said. It seemed that he couldn't wait for a moment. Gently putting Bai Ling on the ground, Long Ao directly used the firmament devouring skill. A black vortex appeared behind him and began to crazily absorb the heaven and earth spirit chi around. According to Xiling, it wasn't easy to absorb the heaven and earth spirit vein from a distance. The first thing to do was to sense the existence of the heaven and earth spirit vein. Then use the firmament devouring skill to let Bai Ling communicate with the heaven and earth spirit vein. As long as Bai Ling could absorb it by herself, then there would be no need for Long Ao to help. Perhaps it was luck, but Long Ao used the firmament devouring skill to successfully sense the existence of the heaven and earth spirit vein in just 2 hours. Luck? Long Ao knew that he could sense the existence of the heaven and earth spirit vein so quickly because of the firmament devouring skill. The firmament devouring skill came from the Chaos Stone Tablet, and the Chaos Stone Tablet was the most powerful treasure in the world. Treasures and treasures could sense each other. No matter what, he had successfully sensed the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. Next, he had to guide the chi released by the spiritual vein of heaven and earth into Bai Ling's body. He had to do it step by step. He couldn't be too aggressive at the beginning. Otherwise, Bai Ling wouldn't be able to take it. Jianling? So it's Jianling. Ha ha ha, the heavens are helping me. If I can obtain a peak Jianling, wouldn't I be able to directly reach the peak of the martial path? A crazed laughter suddenly rang out, causing Long Ao to jump in fright. Seeing Shifeng suddenly appear in front of him, Long Ao already knew what had happened. Now that Bai Ling's identity had been exposed, even without Shifeng and Potion's relationship, Shifeng wouldn't have let him off. After all, Bai Ling was an irresistible temptation to powerful martial artists. As for Shifeng, he had sensed Bai Ling's aura and confirmed Bai Ling's identity. Greed was written all over his face, and he had an urge to devour the Jianling beside Longao. After the battle with the dragon race, almost everyone in the Tianmu continent knew that Longao had a spirit in his body, and Shifeng was no exception. Shifeng had guessed that Longao's spirit was at most a nirvana rebirth, and such a spirit would be of great benefit to him. But now, Shifeng really hadn't expected that Longao's spirit would actually be a Jianling. Moreover, it was a peak Jianling. What surprised Shifeng even more was that this so-called peak Jianling's aura was extremely weak. He believed that it wouldn't have the slightest ability to fight back. The heavens are helping me. Shifeng was very clear in his heart what a peak Jianling meant. Although he didn't know where this peak Jianling had come from, under such a temptation, Shifeng didn't care about anything, even if he had to betray the Wanshou sect. As long as he could devour this Jianling, it wouldn't be a problem. Shifeng was already at the Nirvana realm, and he was only a step away from breaking through to the Rebirth realm. Now, once he obtained the source energy, even if he couldn't break through to the peak of the martial path within 10 years, he would definitely be able to break through within 100 years. Unfortunately, it was impossible for him to obtain the source energy. P.S. Tomorrow's eruption will start at dawn. Xiaoju will start writing now, and try to update 5 chapters at once. Chapter 1408. Shifeng, you better get out of here. Longao's voice was extremely cold. He did not expect Shifeng to appear at this time. Things were getting troublesome. Longao forcefully sealed the dragon seal space. At this time, Xiling could not appear. Otherwise, if he was discovered by Shifeng, not only by Ling, but also Xiling's identity would be exposed. Ha 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 ha. He laughed crazily. Shifeng could be said to be extremely excited. Jianling at the peak of martial arts. Until now, Shifeng did not seem to realize that his luck was so good. He actually met a so-called peak of martial arts Jianling. Shifeng was full of confidence that once he devoured Jianling, he would definitely reach the peak of martial arts. Jianling at the peak of martial arts had the power of origin. Longao, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Shifeng laughed. Even his eyelids were laughing. Longao, as long as you hand over this Jianling, you can leave. In front of Jianling, Shifeng did not care whether Longao died or not. Not to mention Longao, even the position of the Wanshou sect's sect master was not in Shifeng's eyes in front of Jianling. Stalling for time. Bai Ling had yet to connect with the heaven and earth spirit veins, and it had already begun. If it was forcefully cut off, it would only be detrimental to Bai Ling. There would be no benefits, and Bai Ling might even vanish instantly. Longao's heart was filled with hatred. Shifeng, don't force me. Ha ha ha, so what if I force you? Shifeng looked coldly at the young man in front of him. He did not put Longao in his eyes at all. He took a step forward, and his aura suppressed the young man. The aura of heaven and earth. Longao had already condensed the aura of heaven and earth. He completely ignored Shifeng's aura. Longao was very anxious. With Shifeng's strength, if he forcefully devoured Jianling, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao, do you think you can protect her? Longao did not speak, but his face was extremely gloomy. Longao, I can't help but admire this Jianling. As long as you devour it, I believe that your cultivation base will rise very fast. At that time, even reaching the peak of martial arts will not be a dream. Longao still did not speak. In his mind, he kept trying to come up with a plan. At this time, he absolutely could not cut it off. Otherwise, Bai Ling would be instantly invaded by the surrounding spiritual energy. At that time, Bai Ling would disappear within a few seconds. All right. With the help of the firmament-devouring skill, Longao successfully connected with Bai Ling in the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. This way, Bai Ling could devour the spiritual vein of heaven and earth by itself. However, Bai Ling obviously couldn't continue devouring the spiritual vein of heaven and earth. Did he have to give up? Longao knew very well that if he gave up, Shifeng would not let him stay in the Myriad Beasts sect after knowing Bai Ling's identity. If he did not give up, Shifeng would definitely devour Bai Ling. He was in a dilemma. Looking at Long Ao's expression changing again and again, Shi Feng smiled and approached Long Ao step by step. His smile widened with every step he took. He was so excited that he wanted to die. Time. In this situation, time was of the essence. Long Ao gritted his teeth as he watched Shi Feng approach him. In the end, he chose to give up. Bai Ling disappeared and returned to the dragon seal space. Shi Feng was shocked when he saw Jianling disappear into thin air. However, he was not too worried. As long as Long Ao was here, he believed that Jianling would not disappear. He had to do it. Long Ao, let me give you a piece of advice. You better hand over the sword spirit. Otherwise, humph. Shi Feng did not finish his words, but the meaning of his words was very clear. Now that Bai Ling had been safely sent back to the dragon seal space, Long Ao no longer had any worries. Shi Feng was not like Long Ao, who knew how to guard against his teleportation and thus interfere with the spatial fluctuations. Long Ao was full of confidence. As long as he was willing, he could enter the dragon seal space at any time. Shi Feng, do you really think you can keep me here? Can't I? Contempt was written all over his face. In Shi Feng's opinion, Long Ao was just a small heavenly god. In front of him, Long Ao was an existence like an ant. If Long Ao could escape in this situation, he could kill himself. Long Ao smiled and said, Shi Feng, do you dare to make a bet with me? A bet? Shi Feng was a little confused. In this situation, Long Ao should be thinking about how to escape, but he wanted to make a bet with him. What kind of trick was this? However, Shi Feng did not put Long Ao in his eyes. Therefore, in Shi Feng's opinion, Long Ao was just stalling for time. Although he knew that Long Ao was stalling for time, Shi Feng did not take it to heart. He smiled and said, Long Ao, if you lose, not only will you have to hand over Jianling, you will also have to kneel in front of me and become my slave. How about it? No problem. Seeing Long Ao agree so quickly, Shi Feng was stunned. For Long Ao to be so calm, could it be that he had some tricks up his sleeve? Shi Feng, if you lose, not only will you have to kneel and kowtow, but you will also have to kowtow and apologize every time you see me. How about it? Okay. Shi Feng sneered in his heart. He was too confident and did not know that Long Ao had the dragon seal space. Otherwise, even if he was beaten to death, he would not have casually agreed to this bet. Shi Feng, our bet is very simple. As long as you can stop me from leaving the cave, you win. Just a bet like this? Shi Feng almost laughed out loud. A mere heavenly god dared to bet with him that he could not stop Long Ao from leaving the black hole. If that was really the case, then he should just kill himself. Shi Feng, you have to know yourself. Don't think that you are invincible just because you are a Nirvana realm cultivator. Let me tell you clearly, you are not even a fart in front of me, Long Ao. You are just trash. If you want the Jianling, you will have to wait until your next life. Courting death. Before Shi Feng could make a move, or even before Shi Feng could react, Long Ao, who was still there just now, suddenly disappeared without a trace. This time, Shi Feng was dumbfounded. He did not know what had just happened. Why would Long Ao suddenly disappear? Could it be a spatial artifact? I forgot that Long Ao has a spatial artifact. Damn it. Shi Feng cursed inwardly. He did not understand Long Ao at all. If it were Long Hang, Shi Feng believed that Long Hang would definitely not leave the black hole. He would definitely defend the black hole to the death. Unfortunately, Shi Feng was not Long Hang. Seeing Long Ao suddenly disappear, he immediately panicked. Shi Feng's departure immediately gave Long Ao an opportunity. In the next second, Long Ao had already left the black hole. His speed was even faster than Shi Feng's. If Shi Feng knew about this, who knew if he would be angered to death? Chapter 1409. Outside the black hole. In order to prevent Jianling's matter from leaking out, Shi Feng directly sealed all the black holes. Shi Feng had already lost the bet. Shi Feng, I have successfully left the black hole. Shouldn't you? At this point, Long Ao did not continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. According to the bet between the two, Once Shi Feng lost, every time he saw Longao, he had to kowtow and admit his mistake. How could Shi Feng not understand the meaning in Longao's words? It was precisely because of this that Shi Feng's face was abnormally cold, because until now, he did not expect that Longao would leave the black hole. Longao, if you die, will the bet still stand? Shameless. Longao had already expected Shi Feng's shamelessness, so he was not surprised at all. With a contemptuous smile, Longao said contemptuously, Shi Feng, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but with just you alone. He shook his head in contempt. Then, Longao turned and left. Before Shi Feng could chase, Longao's figure had already disappeared and entered the dragon seal space. Looking at the figure that had disappeared in front of him, Shi Feng's face became more and more gloomy and ugly. Longao disappeared. Longao disappeared under his nose just like that. But was it true? Inside the dragon seal space, looking at Bai Ling lying on the bed safe and sound, Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief. Longao, fortunately this time it was scary but not dangerous. It's just that sister did not devour the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein this time. I'm afraid the next time will be more difficult. Nodding. How could Longao not know what Xiling said? Bai Ling's safety is the first. If I don't forcefully cut it off, I'm afraid Shi Feng will not let it go. Longao, what do you want to do next? Shi Feng had already discovered Bai Ling's identity. Both of them had already guessed that it would be extremely difficult to continue devouring the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein. He thought for a moment. The heaven and earth spiritual vein is the only way to save Bai Ling. So, no matter what happens, I have to keep trying. The most dangerous place was the safest place. Now that Shi Feng had discovered Bai Ling's identity, Longao was almost certain that Shi Feng would conduct a large-scale search for him. As for whether Shi Feng would continue to remain in the Myriad Beast Cliff, that was still unknown. Shi Feng would definitely think that he did not have the guts to continue staying at the Myriad Beast Cliff. In that case, why not take the risk and give it a try? This way, he could continue to let Bai Ling absorb the aura of the heaven and earth spirit veins. Violet Spirit nodded in agreement after hearing what he had to say. Longao, your cultivation base has already reached the peak heavenly god realm. If nothing goes wrong, you should be able to break through to the supreme Tao realm with the help of the spiritual veins of heaven and earth. Under such circumstances, Longao was no longer concerned about whether or not he could make a breakthrough in his cultivation. As long as Bai Ling was fine, he could even stay at the heavenly god stage forever. He sighed deeply in his heart. Xiling was very envious of the relationship between his sister and Longao. Both of them were willing to sacrifice themselves to go against each other. Longao, I'll tell you something now. It's up to you whether or not you're willing to take the risk. Please go ahead. Longao was very curious. He did not know what Xiling wanted to say to him. Even if your cultivation base can successfully break through to the supreme Tao realm, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to kill enemies above your level, especially when you're facing an ultimate god or emperor god. You should admit that, right?
Yes.
Longao knew very well what the difference in strength between warriors meant. Just as Xiling said, even if his cultivation base could break through to the supreme Tao realm, forget about defeating an ultimate god or emperor god. It was still unknown if he could defeat an emperor god. What did Xiling mean by that? Xiling made Longao confused. Longao, have you heard of the divine beast Black Tortoise? Of course I have. Of course, Longao was familiar with the divine beast Black Tortoise that Xiling mentioned. The divine beast Black Tortoise was known as the divine beast with the strongest defense in the world. Even the phoenix and the divine dragon with the most terrifying attack power could not break through the divine beast Black Tortoise's defense. One could only imagine how terrifying the divine beast Black Tortoise's physical defense was. The divine beast Black Tortoise race only had one weakness, and that was its extremely low population. There were even rumors that there were no more than 3 divine beast Black Tortoises in the world. What kind of concept was that? Longao was very curious as to why Xiling mentioned the divine beast Black Tortoise all of a sudden. As if he could guess Longao's doubts, Xiling said before Longao could ask, Longao, I don't need to say too much about the divine beast Black Tortoise's defense. I'll be frank with you. If you can have the physical defense of the divine beast Black Tortoise, you'll be invincible even against an emperor god. This kind of allure, even if it was Longao, he was also extremely moved. Although he was tempted, Longao knew very well that it was impossible for a human warrior to have such a terrifying defense. As if he had thought of something, Longao was very surprised. According to Xiling's personality, he would not say something like that for no reason. Could it be that Xiling had a way to give him the divine beast Black Tortoise's defense? Xiling, do you have a way? Nodding her head, Violet Spirit said, just a moment ago, I sensed the aura of the divine beast Black Tortoise. Furthermore, the aura was very weak. According to my guess, there should be a divine beast Black Tortoise sealed within the myriad beast cliff. Hearing Xiling's words, Longao's heart skipped a beat. If what Xiling said was true, and there was a divine beast Black Tortoise sealed in the myriad beast cliff, and its aura was very weak, then wouldn't he have a chance? I believe you know what to do now. Longao, as long as you can obtain the divine beast Black Tortoise, with the power of the dragon seal, refining the divine beast Black Tortoise will not be a problem. When the time comes, once the Black Tortoise armor is condensed, I believe that even an emperor god will not be able to break through your defense. The temptation was too great. Let Bai Ling devour the heaven and earth spiritual vein first. As for the divine beast Black Tortoise, let's talk about it later. Xiling did not say anything, but one could tell from his eyes that he was very satisfied with Longao's decision. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. Most people would not dare to stay. Longao took advantage of this and continued to stay at the Myriad Beast Cliff. Even if Shifeng was beaten to death, he would not have thought that not only did Longao not leave, but he also continued to stay. At the peak of the Myriad Beast Cliff, looking at the endless void in the distance, Longao stood alone quietly. He had already hidden Bai Ling in an extremely secluded place. As long as there was enough time, Bai Ling would be able to devour successfully. Chapter 14:10 Wanshou Sect. In the main hall, second brother, is what you just said true? Shifeng was shocked to the extreme when he heard Shifeng's words. He never thought that the divine soul in Longao's body was a Jianling who had reached the peak of martial arts. After thinking about it, he was relieved. If it was not a divine soul at the peak of martial arts, how could it resist the forbidden power and not die? Shifeng had a lot of doubts in his heart. Because he and his second brother were fighting openly and secretly, it was impossible for Shifeng to tell him such a good thing. He would definitely monopolize it. Big brother, I felt it personally at the Wanshou Cliff. If you and I join forces to kill Longao, then after devouring the Jianling, I believe that in less than 100 years, our cultivation will reach the peak of martial arts. No one could resist such a temptation, including Shifeng. Shifeng certainly knew what it meant to have a Jianling who had reached the peak of martial arts. A Jianling who had reached the peak of martial arts, even if it was just a divine soul, it would contain the origin energy. Once devoured, it would be equivalent to devouring the origin energy. To a Nirvana realm martial artist, source energy was the greatest treasure. Second brother, why are you doing this? Shifeng was not a fool, of course. He knew what his big brother meant. He thought for a while. Shifeng looked at his big brother in front of him, then looked at Shirpatian and said, I can't stop Longao alone. Hearing this, Shirpatian and Shifeng seemed to be very surprised. Longao's strength, Shifeng's strength, they clearly knew that the gap between the two was huge. Was it possible to say that Shifeng couldn't keep Longao? After all, Longao did not have the help of his divine soul now. Second brother, what happened? Since things had come to this point, Shifeng of course would not hide anything. He told them everything that happened at the Wanshou Cliff. The reason why Shifeng told Shifeng this time was very simple. Shifeng did not have the slightest confidence that he could kill Longao. Otherwise, why would Shifeng be so kind? After hearing this, Shirpatian and Shifeng sighed. It seems that the spatial artifact in Longao's hands is not simple. It can avoid the detection of second brother's aura. Big brother, there's no time to lose. We should lock down the sect immediately. No matter what, we have to find Longao. Jinling, who had reached the peak of martial arts, was enough to make Chong change his mind and deal with Longao. If Chong had known that the soul in Longao's body was the so-called Jinling who had reached the pinnacle of martial arts, he would have taken action long ago. He nodded. Chong had no objections to his second brother's suggestion. For the sake of Jinling, not to mention dealing with the Longao, he would not hesitate to deal with the other superpowers. Patian, go make the arrangements. Yes, father. Patian obviously knew the seriousness of the matter. If Longao left the Wanshou sect, then in the vast sea of people, even the Wanshou sect would not be able to find a single trace of him. It would not be an easy matter. Big brother, I hope that this time we can work together and devour the Jinling. If they succeeded, both of them would obtain the origin energy. If that was the case, then there was no need for them to continue fighting. Compared to the Wanshou sect's sect master, the latter was insignificant. Chong nodded in agreement. Second brother, if Longao wants to leave the sect smoothly, it won't be an easy task. Then, Patian immediately locked down the Wanshou sect. The ordinary disciples did not know what was going on, but the core disciples received a secret order and immediately began to search for Longao. Once they found him, they were not allowed to act rashly. What had happened? No one knew. Many people were very curious, because there was only one person who could secretly lock down the sect, and that was the so-called sect master. The more this was the case, the more curious everyone was. The matter between Longao and Feng was still vivid in their minds. The sect master was biased towards Longao in front of everyone. It was obvious to all. It was less than a day ago. Why did the sect secretly lock down the sect and search for Longao? Could it be that Longao had fallen out with the sect master? With curiosity, everyone began to look for traces of Longao everywhere. As for the Wanshou cliff, Chong and Feng had already thought of it, but they did not personally go there. Instead, they sent people to search the Wanshou cliff. From the beginning to the end, the two of them did not expect that Longao would continue to stay at the Wanshou cliff. According to the thinking of ordinary people, since he had been discovered by Feng, then he should have found another hiding place. But it was precisely because of Longao's risk, and the fact that the most dangerous place was the safest place, that allowed Longao to escape disaster. The Wanshou mountain range was too big. It was impossible for the Wanshou sect to search the entire mountain range. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed quietly. In these 3 days, the Wanshou sect sent out countless disciples and searched almost 60% of the Wanshou mountain range, but they still could not find any trace of Longao. In the main hall, Chong and Feng's expressions were not very good, because until now, they still could not find Longao. If this matter spread out, the Wanshou sect's face would be ruined. Big brother, we have searched all the places we should look, but we still can't find any trace of Longao. Where is he hiding? The two of them were very anxious, because no one was sure whether Longao had left the Wanshou sect. If they were unlucky and Longao really left, then no one knew what would happen next. Even if they took a step back and Longao left the Wanshou sect, and they successfully found Longao in the future, what if the peak martial Dao Jinling was taken away by someone else, or Longao devoured by him? What would they do? The safest way was to find Longao in the Wanshou sect, and then successfully devour the Jinling. The most dangerous place is the safest place. After 3 days of quiet thinking, Chong had thought of countless possibilities, but besides the Wanshou cliff, he really could not think of any other place Longao could be hiding. Big brother, you mean Longao is hiding in the Wanshou cliff? Nodding, Chong seemed very confident. He said, besides the Wanshou cliff, I really can't think of any other place. Longao will definitely think that we will not return to the Wanshou cliff. Even if we search it, it will only be a careless search. There is a saying, the most dangerous place is the safest place, so I can almost say that Longao is hiding in the Wanshou cliff. That makes sense. I will go to the Wanshou cliff now. Wait, I will go too. Both of them had their own ulterior motives. Feng wanted to devour the Jinling by himself, so of course he wanted to go to the Wanshou sect alone. But Shi Chong was also afraid that Shi Feng would devour the Jiling by himself, so he also wanted to go to the Wanshou cliff. Chapter 14:11. Just in case. Shi Chong and Shi Feng gathered everyone and gathered at the Cliff of Beasts. Shi Chong was very confident that Longao was definitely at the 10,000 Beasts cliff. Just as the saying went, the most dangerous place was the safest place. Outside the Cliff of Beasts. Big brother, if Longao is not at the Cliff of Beasts, we might give Longao a chance to escape if we gather here. It was a diversion. Shi Chong was betting that Longao was at the Cliff of Beasts. Apart from the Cliff of Beasts, I really can't think of where Longao could be hiding. Without giving Shi Feng any chance to speak, Shi Chong said, Longao, I know you are at the Cliff of Beasts. Show yourself. Inside the Cliff of Beasts. In the secluded black hole, Longao guarded Bai Ling alone for 3 days. He still did not know whether Bai Ling had succeeded or not. Hearing the sound from outside, Longao did not move at all. He seemed to have guessed that Shi Chong and Shi Feng would definitely find this place, but he did not expect them to come so quickly. According to Longao's previous guess, the two should not have found him so quickly. His face was very solemn. Shi Feng and Shi Chong suddenly appeared, but Bai Ling had not succeeded in devouring. Coming at this time was just asking for trouble. What should he do? Should he forcibly stop Bai Ling from devouring the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein? If so, it would have a great impact on Bai Ling. There was no movement. The others were very curious, wondering whether Longao was at the Cliff of Beasts. However, Shi Chong was 100% sure that Longao was at the Cliff of Beasts. Longao, you and I are understanding people. If there is any misunderstanding between us, come out first. Shameless. Longao cursed in his heart. Of course, he would not be fooled. If he really went out, would Shi Chong and Shi Feng let him go? According to Longao's guess, Shi Feng shouldn't have told Shi Chong about Bai Ling. After all, no matter who it was, Shi Feng believed that Shi Feng would try to take her for himself. Not to mention, Shi Feng and Shi Chong had a grudge against each other. His estimation was wrong. Xiling, how long will it take for Bai Ling to finish devouring the spiritual veins of heaven and earth? Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longao really didn't want to forcibly stop Bai Ling from absorbing the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein. This was because Longao knew very well that forcibly cutting off the connection would not benefit Bai Ling at all. Every minute of delay counted. Of course, Xiling knew the severity of the situation. He immediately said, Longao, if I'm not wrong, Bai Ling will finish devouring in about an hour. Half an hour? He was overjoyed. If it was any other time, half an hour would be the blink of an eye. But now, Shi Feng and Shi Chong were outside. Half an hour was like 8 to 10 years. There was only half an hour left. No matter what happened, he had to help Bai Ling devour the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein. He had to hold on for half an hour. Longao, what do you want to do? Xiling seemed to have guessed something and was a little anxious. Longao didn't say anything. He summoned Long Ming and Long Chong and ordered, you two look after Bai Ling. If anything happens, immediately take Bai Ling away. Just as Longao was about to leave, he seemed to have thought of something and continued, after half an hour, when Bai Ling finishes devouring, you must take Bai Ling away and hide. Remember, before I appear, you must not reveal your identities. Both Long Chong and Long Ming knew the seriousness of the situation. The two divine beasts nodded and said, don't worry, big brother. As long as Sister Bai Ling is here, we will be here. If Bai Ling dies, we will die. They nodded. Longao was very assured of the two little guys. Outside the myriad beast cliff, just as Shi Chong was about to continue speaking, Longao's figure suddenly appeared. His face was calm as he watched Longao slowly walk out of the myriad beast cliff. Everyone was a little moved. Under such circumstances, Longao was still calm. Just this courage alone was worthy of everyone's respect. Longao was really at the myriad beast cliff. Everyone admired the sect leader because no one would have thought that Longao would be hiding in the myriad beast cliff. It was really the most dangerous place, but also the safest place. Longao, I have a general understanding of the grudge between you and second brother. I will deal with this matter. Come with me. In the entire Myriad Beast sect, only 3 people knew about Jinling at the peak of martial arts. Shi Chong, Shi Feng, and Shi Patian. Of course, the 3 of them wouldn't tell anyone about this. The fewer people who knew about Jinling at the peak of martial arts, the better. Once this matter was spread, even if they could devour Jinling at the peak of martial arts, it was still unknown whether they could refine and devour it. If others knew that they had obtained the origin energy, there was no doubt that many people would not let them break through the peak of martial arts. In order to avoid trouble, the 3 of them would definitely not leak this matter. In the eyes of others, the sect leader was still biased towards Longao. Sneering in his heart, Longao said with disdain, "Shi Feng, don't you want to talk about how the grudge between us came about?" Longao, waving his hand, without waiting for Shi Feng to speak, Longao said, 10 days ago, I followed Brother Shi to the Myriad Beast Cliff to cultivate. Originally, I wanted to cultivate well, but I didn't expect that Shi Feng would shamelessly sneak attack me. Moreover, he made a bet with me that if I could smoothly leave the black hole, from now on, every time Shi Feng saw me, he would kowtow and apologize. Shi Feng, am I right? Shame. This was Shi Feng's greatest shame. Because until now, Shi Feng had never thought that Longao could leave the black hole under his nose. Otherwise, even if he was beaten to death, he would not have made this bet. Shi Feng's face was very gloomy. Looking at this situation, everyone understood that what Longao said should be true. It was precisely because of this that everyone was shocked. What kind of strength did Shi Feng have? He was a genuine Nirvana realm cultivator, while Longao was only a heavenly God realm cultivator. How could Longao disappear in a small black hole under Shi Feng's nose? Was this true? The more it was like this, the more gloomy Shi Feng's face became. It was simply gloomy to the extreme. Shi Feng, you won't go back on your word, right? Longao, you used tricks to frame me. Today, I want to see if you put my Myriad Beast sect in your eyes. Kowtow and apologize. Even if Shi Feng was beaten to death, he would not do this. What a joke! As the second in command of the Myriad Beast sect and a Nirvana realm cultivator, if he really kowtowed and apologized, he would definitely commit suicide. Ha ha ha, I really didn't think that the dignified Myriad Beast sect Shi Feng would not admit to his words. It is really true that meeting a person by reputation is not as good as meeting a person by reputation. Shi Feng, why don't we continue to make a bet? If you lose, you will immediately kowtow and apologize. If I lose, not only will I give you what you want, I will also immediately commit suicide. What do you think? P.S. Today, there will definitely be 10 chapters. I hope everyone will vote for Longao. Shout your thanks. Chapter 1412. Provocation. Longao was openly provoking him. Shi Feng and the others did not expect Longao to do this. In fact, Longao was just stalling for time. According to Xiling's estimation, Xiling would finish devouring the heaven and earth spirit vein in at most half an hour. Therefore, he had to hold on for half an hour. Shi Feng, you don't dare? How do you want to bet? This time, Shi Feng learned his lesson and did not agree immediately. He had already suffered a loss last time. He would not suffer a second time. Longao sneered. His face was full of disdain and contempt. The more he acted like this, the uglier Shi Feng's face became. He had lost all his face. It's very simple. As long as I leave the Cliff of Beasts, you lose. How about it? It was this again. Shi Feng was really afraid because he did not have the confidence to suppress Longao. Just like last time. If Longao really left the Cliff of Beasts, what should he do? The spatial artifact in Longao's hand was not to be underestimated. Shi Feng did not speak. His meaning was clear. He did not dare to bet. Longao smiled. Shi Feng was crying in his heart. With his status, he was humiliated by Longao in front of everyone. If it were not for Jinling, who was at the peak of martial arts, Shi Feng would have already attacked. He would not have waited until now. Longao, that's enough. Shi Chong, who had not spoken, finally spoke. Chong did not expect Longao to be so confident. Because of this, he did not dare to act rashly. He did not know if Longao could really leave with the help of the spatial artifact. If Longao really left, it would be difficult to continue to find Longao. Longao, if there's anything, we can settle it privately. Come with me. He nodded. Longao was very clear in his heart that wanting to delay for an hour was practically an impossible thing. For the sake of Bai Ling, Longao agreed without hesitation. Hearing that Longao had agreed, Chong and Feng were overjoyed. They turned around and dismissed everyone before leaving the myriad beast cliff with Longao. Whether it was Chong or Feng, the two of them would never have thought that Longao had lured the tiger away from the mountain. Bai Ling was still at the myriad beast cliff and was still crazily devouring the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein. Wanshou sect. In the main hall. Longao, things have come to this point. As long as you hand over the Jianling, I will let you go. As expected, Longao was almost certain that Chong already knew about Bai Ling. He really did not expect the brothers to join forces. Chong, if that's the case, I won't beat around the bush. It's impossible for you to get Jianling. Really? Feng sneered. In the next second, the entire main hall was shrouded by a crazy aura that began to suppress Longao. Feng, Chong, and Patian all retreated and looked at him coldly. Longao was not surprised at all because he had already guessed that he had defeated Feng with teleportation. If there was no accident, the three of them would definitely find a way to interfere with the spatial fluctuations. The three of them must have thought that he had a spatial artifact. Because of this, Longao did not use teleportation, nor did he enter the dragon seal space. Because from the moment he entered the main hall, he had already discovered that the spatial fluctuations were interfered with. It was impossible to enter the dragon seal space. Longao, I will give you one last chance. Hand over the Jianling, and I will let you go. Otherwise, not only will you die, even if you die, I will search your soul. At that time, you will still have to hand over the Jianling. Soul search. Longao did not have the slightest doubt. If he really died, he believed that Bai Ling would really be in danger. He released the heaven and earth spirit qi, but even so, Longao was still suppressed to the point that he was sweating profusely. His body began to sway. His face was very pale. If it was not for his strong willpower, Longao believed that at this moment, he would have already fallen. Hold on. He absolutely could not die. Otherwise, not only him, but also Bai Ling's whereabouts would be exposed. The consequences would be unimaginable. Haha, Longao. If you can withstand the 1,000-beast aura barrier, from now on, the grudges between you and me will be written off. Ignoring Feng. 1,000-beast aura barrier? Needless to say, Longao naturally knew the horror of the 1,000-beast aura barrier. In less than 3 minutes, he would definitely be suppressed by the 1,000-beast aura barrier and die. He fiercely cursed in his heart. Just at this moment, suddenly, Longao's chaotic dantian began to move. The 5-elemental chaos stone tablet and the new chaos stone tablet he had devoured began to spin madly. Longao had no idea what was happening. Gradually, an indescribable stream of air appeared on the surface of Longao's body, enveloping Longao. The 1,000-beast aura barrier, which had been suppressing Longao a moment ago, was directly repelled. Seeing this situation, the three of them were slightly surprised. The three of them knew very well what the 1,000-beast aura barrier meant. Not to mention a mere Longao. Even they could not forcefully repel it. Just what was going on? Big brother, Longao is not a simple person. We must keep him here. Otherwise, we will be letting a tiger return to the mountain. Chong nodded. Of course, Chong understood the meaning behind his second brother's words. The matter this time had already caused both sides to be like fire and water. If they let Longao go, once Longao grew up, there was no doubt that Longao would deal with Chong and the 1,000-beast sect. Hence, they absolutely could not let Longao go. If my guess is correct, the reason why Longao can repel the 1,000-beast aura barrier should be because of the Jianling inside his body. Longao alone cannot accomplish this. In Shi Chang's opinion, the reason why Longao could do this was entirely because of the Jianling. Jianling was the pinnacle of martial arts. If it was any other Jianling, it would be impossible to do this. The more it was so, the more excited Shi Chong was. Because Shi Feng was right. The soul inside Longao's body was the pinnacle of martial arts, Jianling. Impatient and even excited, Shi Chong could not wait to get his hands on the Jianling. The pinnacle of martial arts was the strongest existence in the world. Once he, his second brother, and Patian broke through, the three of them together would not even put the godly mathematician and Tian Dao in their eyes. Longao's body was shrouded in air. Inside his chaotic dantian, the chaos stone tablet was still madly revolving. No one knew what it was doing. Longao, let me give you a word of advice. Don't make any unnecessary resistance. Otherwise, you will die without a burial place. At this moment, Longao did not have the chance to speak at all. This was because he did not know what had happened to him. Why had the primal chaos stone tablet started to spin crazily all of a sudden? Of all times, it just had to come at this moment. Chapter 14:13. Disappeared? Seeing Longao suddenly disappear, Shi Feng, Shi Chong, and Shi Patian were all dumbfounded. Longao could actually disappear under the Thousand Beast Aura Shield. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, it would be hard to believe. Father, what just happened? Shi Patian was also shocked. This time, the three of them were determined to win, but they didn't expect the result to be like this. He waved his hand. Shi Chong said confidently, Longao can't disappear under the Thousand Beast Aura Shield. I can guarantee that Longao is still in the hall. Shi Patian and Shi Feng nodded in agreement. The two of them also didn't believe that Longao really left. Father, what should we do now? Wait. Inside the Dragon Seal space, Longao discovered that he had entered the Dragon Seal space and let out a long sigh of relief. The biggest reason he could enter the Dragon Seal space was because of his good luck. For some reason, the Chaos Stone Tablet suddenly spun for no reason and fiercely bounced off the Thousand Beast Aura Shield. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Longao entered the Dragon Seal space. Longao, your luck is really good. What is it? If it wasn't for the Chaos Stone Tablet suddenly going crazy, it would be very difficult for you to enter here. So it was about this. Longao didn't dwell on this matter. He also didn't want to know why the Chaos Stone Tablet and his Chaos Dantian suddenly spun. Now, Longao was only worried about one thing, and that was whether Bai Ling had successfully devoured the aura of the heaven and earth spiritual vein. Longao was almost certain that even if he had successfully entered the Dragon Seal space, he believed that Shi Chong, Shi Feng, and the other two would definitely not let this matter rest. If he chose to leave at this time, he would definitely be walking into a trap. Thousand Beast Cliff. Inside the black hole, Long Ming and Long Chong stared at Bai Ling. An hour. If it was in normal times, it would pass very quickly. But now, every second felt like a year. Long Ming and Long Chong knew that nothing must happen to Bai Ling, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to answer to their big brother. Half an hour passed quietly. Bai Ling still did not move at all. Even if Bai Ling swallowed the aura of the heaven and earth spirit vein, she still could not wake up. It's time. According to what Big Brother said, an hour has passed. We have to leave with Big Sister Bai Ling, Long Ming nodded. Then, Long Ming and Long Chong prepared to leave with Bai Ling. Right at this moment, suddenly, a black crack appeared in the black hole. Before Long Ming and Long Chong could react, the black crack sucked them in. Even so, in the end, Long Ming and Long Chong protected Bai Ling because they knew that no matter what happened, no matter what difficulties they encountered, they would protect Bai Ling. Even if something happened to the two of them, they couldn't let anything happen to Sister Bai Ling. A few minutes later, the black crack closed again, and the black hole was silent as if nothing had happened. On the other side, Longao's disappearance caused the three of them to be very depressed. That was because even at that moment, Shi Chong and the others were still unable to understand how Longao had managed to accomplish that. After all, The three of them knew very well what the 10,000 beast aura cover signified. Time passed quietly. Unknowingly, 2 days had passed. In 2 days, Longao still did not appear. The three of them seemed to be a little impatient because if Longao had really left, then everything was over. The three of them did not care about Longao's life or death. The only thing they cared about was Jianling. If they could get Jianling, it would not matter even if they let Longao go. After thinking about it, Sherpatian finally said, "Father, we can't just keep waiting like this. If Longao has left, we will miss the opportunity." How could Shirchong not know what his son meant? Under such circumstances, what could he do? With a deep sigh, Shirchong said helplessly, "With the strength of the three of us, besides Tian Dao and the clairvoyant, who else in the world can be our match?" Shirchong's cultivation had successfully broken through to the peak of nirvana rebirth, and his strength was on par with the 10,000 beasts ancestor. Even Long Tian and the rest did not know about this. Otherwise, it would have shaken the continent. Because of this, Shirchong was very depressed. Before this, he would never have thought that Longao would disappear for no reason under the joint efforts of the three of them. It was unbelievable, really unbelievable. The sect has been sealed. If Longao has left, we will definitely know. After thinking for a while, Shirchong continued, "Previously, Longao was at the Cliff of Beasts, and this time in the main hall. According to my guess, even if Longao can disappear, he can't leave the main hall. Therefore, I can be sure that Longao is still here." The three of them knew very well that Longao was able to disappear because of the spatial artifact in his hand. "Father, even if we keep guarding here, it won't be a long-term solution. I know that, but in the current situation, we have no other choice but to defend to the death." Just as the three of them were talking, Longao's figure suddenly appeared, turned around, and shot out of the door. The Samsara clone wasn't Longao. It didn't have any aura, so the myriad beast chi barrier was unable to suppress it. In front of their shocked gazes, the Samsara clone disappeared without a trace. From start to finish, the three of them hadn't been able to recognize the Samsara clone's true identity. He has finally appeared. The three of them were overjoyed. One by one, they chased after the reincarnation clone. If the three of them knew that the reincarnation clone was just a clone of Longao and not the real Longao, who knew what they would do? Following the disappearance of the Samsara clone and the three of them, the myriad beast chi barrier also disappeared. At this time, Longao appeared from the dragon seal space. Longao didn't have the slightest doubt about the power of the dragon seal space. However, if the dragon seal space could be moved, then he would be able to dominate the martial heaven continent. Longao wasn't the slightest bit worried about the Samsara clone drawing the three of them away. Even if the three of them were powerful, it seemed impossible for them to kill the Samsara clone. He was very worried about Bai Ling. Without the slightest hesitation, Longao immediately left the palace, rushing toward the myriad beast cliff. He was constantly praying that nothing would happen to Bai Ling, and that nothing would happen to Long Ming and Long Chong. Otherwise, he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. Just like that, the reincarnation clone lured away Shirchong, Shirfeng, and Shirpatian, while Longao flew towards the Thousand Beasts cliff. The Thousand Beasts sect, the wind was blowing and the clouds were moving. Chapter 14:14. At the Cliff of Beasts. In the silent black hole, Longao's face was extremely gloomy. It was empty. Longao was very curious. Where did Bai Ling and the two little guys go? Did something happen to Bai Ling and the two little guys? Because if the two little guys took Bai Ling away, they would definitely contact him. But in the end, they didn't. Please don't let anything happen to them. Please don't let anything happen to them. Xiling, what did you sense? Xiling's serious face was also full of worry. Opening his eyes, Xiling said helplessly, "Longao, if it was an ordinary person, they definitely wouldn't have sensed it. Fortunately, I was careful. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable." What's going on? Hearing Xiling's words, Longao more or less heaved a sigh of relief. According to the aura I left on Bai Ling, something must have happened to this black hole. It must have sucked Bai Ling and the two little guys away. Bai Ling and the two little guys were sucked away? Longao jumped in fright and asked somewhat impatiently, Ziling, what's going on? Are you trying to make me anxious to death? He sighed and felt helpless. Ziling spread out her hands, shrugged her shoulders and said, I don't know the specifics either. Our top priority right now is to find out the cause as soon as possible. If nothing unexpected happened, it should have happened 2 days ago. Longao didn't say anything. His face was getting gloomier. Anything could happen in 2 days. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have left Bai Ling. Now, Bai Ling and the two little guys disappeared at the same time. Longao was very anxious, but he couldn't do anything because he didn't know what had happened. Longao didn't disturb Ziling. He sat quietly on the side. Ziling closed his eyes again and began to sense. Time trickled by. Humph, what a shameless and despicable Longao. He actually used a clone to lure us away. Now, it will be even more difficult to find the Longao. The three people's faces were very ugly because the three of them never thought that Longao would use this move. Regret. He regretted it so much. But what was the point of regretting? Longao had already left the main hall. Who knew where he was hiding? If Longao had already left the Wanshou sect, then this matter would become very troublesome. Again, it was easier said than done to find Longao's traces in the vast sea of people. Father, I have a guess, but I don't know if I should say it. Speak. I'm sure you all know about the battle between the Dragon Tribe and the 10,000 Beasts sect. The main reason why Longao didn't leave the 10,000 Beasts sect was because he wanted to use the spiritual vein of heaven and earth to cure the so-called Jinling. Shi Chong and Shi Feng nodded in agreement. Even so, what can we do? In front of Jinling, the enmity between Shi Patian and Shi Feng didn't seem to be that big. In that case, Longao shouldn't have left the Wanshou sect and is still hiding in the Wanshou cliff. Wanshou cliff? Shi Chong and Shi Feng said in unison. The two of them understood Shi Potion's meaning and lowered their heads to think. Now that they thought about it, Longao might really be in the so-called Wanshou cliff. Let's go. They left as soon as they said so. Shi Chong took the two of them directly to the Wanshou cliff. This time, they didn't call anyone to go to the Wanshou cliff. Shi Chong didn't want to alert the enemy because he already knew that Longao wasn't simple. This time, they must succeed and not let Longao escape again. A few minutes later, the three of them had successfully arrived at the Wanshou cliff. They looked at each other helplessly because there were so many black holes. If they searched one by one, they would definitely alert the enemy. Longao's spatial divine tool was too powerful. Even with their strength, they couldn't stop Longao from disappearing. Father, what should we do now? We can't keep waiting. We can't search one by one either. In the current situation, we can only try our luck. Otherwise, we won't have the slightest chance. When the three of them arrived, Longao already knew that they were in the black hole. This didn't mean that Longao's strength was very strong, but it was because of his strong sensing ability. After all, Longao was much more powerful than ordinary people when it came to spatial fluctuations. Shi Chong and the other two are here. Longao, I have sensed that Bai Ling and the two little guys have been sucked away by the airflow in a certain space. Then what should we do? Then you have to ask Long Fu. Long Fu? Longao understood what Ziling meant and immediately asked Long Fu. As for the three of them, Longao chose to ignore them. Long Fu, do you have any way to locate Bai Ling and the two little guys? Yes. As expected, Longao was more or less a little unhappy in his heart, because since Long Fu was able to determine the location of Bai Ling and the two little fellows, why didn't he tell him for so long? However, things had already come to this point. The most important thing was to find Bai Ling and the two little fellows first. Other things were simply not important. Long Fu, I don't want to say anything else. No matter what, you have to locate Bai Ling and the two little guys for me. Long Fu's face was very solemn. He said, Master, the space you are going to is the weakest place in the Tianwu continent. It is also the most dangerous place. Not to mention you. Even a Nirvana rebirth martial artist would be killed directly if he entered. Only experts at the peak of the martial Tao can enter. For the sake of Bai Ling and the two little fellows, Long Ao would do anything without hesitation. Long Fu, I believe you know my character. I have to enter the space you were talking about. How could Bai Ling not know her master's character? Master, even if you enter this space, not only will you not be able to save Bai Ling and the two little guys, but you will also die inside. Master, if that's the case, none of you will be able to come out. Speaking of this, Long Ao became more and more worried. Long Fu, according to what you said, if Bai Ling and the two little guys enter the space, won't they be dead for sure? Shaking his head, Long Fu said, Master, Bai Ling and the two little guys are very lucky. They are stuck in the best place and will be fine for the time being. But if you enter the space, if you are not lucky enough, you will die for sure. Die for sure. Long Ao was very clear about Long Fu's character. It seemed that the space that Long Fu spoke of was very dangerous. Even so, would he really choose to give up? If that was the case, he would regret it to death. Long Fu, I have to enter the space. You just have to tell me what I have to do to protect myself, Bai Ling and the two little guys. Imperative, Long Ao was very determined. P.S. The 7th chapter has been delivered. Xiaojiu, take a break first. I really can't write anymore. I will start writing at around 12:30. I will try to finish the remaining 3 chapters before 3 o'clock. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.